I think it's AT&T again, and she went into the restaurant. I won't mention the name, but the point is, she went in there and they said, no, you can't come in. So the entire group had to then find another place, and that had been a planned luncheon. So yes, these things still exist, and we still have to find ways to educate people of various areas.
All right. When we come back, we will resume the discussion, but let's take a short break to hear from the Department of Water and Power about its Trees for a Green LA program and the Los Angeles Zoo.
The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power wants to give you up to 7 free shade trees just for completing a workshop, either online or in your neighborhood. The Trees for a Green LA program offers LADWP residents over 40 different varieties of free shade trees. Trees benefit the environment, save energy, and add beauty. Get your trees by participating in an online workshop by logging on to ladwp.com/trees or call 1-800-GREEN-LA.
It's fun to be a good neighbor. So say hi to your new neighbors at the LA Zoo. And bring Grandpa. They've got a walking buddy for him, too. They've expanded, so there's even more to see and do. Don't wonder who's here, because just for kicks, they've got birds on sticks. Whatever you do, make sure Mom and Dad come early, because they're certainly ready to say hi to you. And this invitation comes from your good neighbors here at the LA Zoo.
We're back on Disability Forum discussing service animals with Ken Metz from Guide Dog Users of California, Steve Wayland with Pets Are Wonderful Support, and Linda Barth with the city's Animal Services Department. And Steve, the situation that Ken raises and some of the run-ins I've had, my first time encountering a non-guide dog in a restaurant actually was in your community in West Hollywood probably 10 years ago. What can PAWS do, or what has PAWS done to try and educate both the public as well as proprietors of commercial establishments?
Well, first of all, go to our website, pawsla.org, and we have a lot of information. We have brochures regarding the laws, and more importantly, in this context, we have a full page dedicated to being a responsible pet guardian. So I completely agree with Ken's point of developing education for the merchants. But I also think it's very important that we require some education of the animal handler. I think it's extremely important that people don't just think that they can go anywhere because they're disabled and have an animal. But I also think that when you talk about the embarrassment and humiliation of going to a coffee house, it's no less for a person with an emotional disability. When they want simply to go out in public to have a cup of coffee, and their fear issues keep them from doing it, except because the dog is there to help them get through that, and they're denied access. It's horrible, and it shouldn't happen. I think that there needs to be not only the education of the merchants and the animal handlers, but I think the general public needs to have a better understanding. But I also think that's going to require some sort of a system of identifying animals as an assistance animal. And that's something that has been resisted when we attempted to do some state legislation that would create just an information card that said, the doctor has prescribed this animal, it provides a service, person's disabled, and there was a great deal of resistance to that. I think maybe we took the wrong approach, and we'd be, kind of liking to find another one, but I think it's something that can be very helpful, because what happens now is nobody gets access because there's so much lack of understanding of what a service animal is.
Yeah, if we had a 90-minute show, we could really get into that issue, because there really are pros and cons. And I know, Steve, that you've brought along some testimonials from your clients. Why don't we show them and let our viewers see what benefits they've derived, your folks have derived from these animals?
I spend a lot of time in the day alone, and he's great company.
I'd do anything to take care of this guy. Anything. We've been around together for a long time.
I I learned about Paws LA 13 years ago. They helped me in the early days of the AIDS epidemic.
Well, I started off at PAWS well over a decade ago. I'd been hospitalized with a brain virus with encephalitis, and all of a sudden I realized that I wasn't able to take care of myself, let alone the dogs, so enter PAWS.
They were the main source of helping me keep my pet alive. They helped me with grooming and doctor's appointments.
A majority of persons living with HIV and AIDS just can't afford a vet bill. They can't afford grooming. They can't afford food. This animal is keeping them alive and is giving them a reason to live.
The reason why, the animal was so important to me when I became HIV positive was because I was so shunned and shut out of the world.
What it does is make the mental and the spiritual aspect flourish, and that keeps a person content, gives them a will to live.
We provide pet food, vet care, in-home services such as dog walking, litter box changing, transportation to vet and grooming appointments.
PAWS is really pretty full service when it comes to animals and their clients. Watching it go from just persons with HIV and AIDS to persons with life-threatening illnesses, and to me that just makes absolute sense and is just so wonderful that everybody can be taken care of.
Just having someone there to give you a little love and share a little compassion with you does a lot for you, your self-esteem, to help you, heal faster and to not make life so lonely.
That gives me that little extra companionship to take any loneliness that might converge on me.
He's the one that didn't abandon me. He was the one that was there for me.
I love you.
That's very, very compelling footage, Steve, especially the I love you at the end. That's pretty cool. Linda, I said I'd let you talk a little bit about your adoption program.
Thank you.
We know there's a serious problem with too many animals in your facilities and running the streets. So talk about what Animal Services is doing.
Well, it is true, Mitch, that the city overall has a problem with pet overpopulation, and there are a couple ways of approaching trying to correct that, and actually multiple ways have to be approached. There isn't one size fit all answer. However, getting more people to realize that our animal care centers are great places to go to find a companion. And that video, like you said, is very compelling for all of us, for children, for families, for people who are alone, for people who maybe need some emotional support, even for people who are looking to adopt animals to train for service purposes, because we do have that. People come and check our care centers for puppies and even slightly older dogs to look for animals that they can train to help people with service or disability needs.
And how do they contact you?
Well, they can contact, the easiest way to get information about us and our facilities is to go to our website, which is laanimalservices.com. And it's a great place. It'll give you maps, addresses. We're opening several new animal care centers, beautiful places. They're more like going to parks than they are going to the traditional shelter that people think of. Great opportunities for people to find a new member of their family.
All right, and we've just barely scratched the surface of this issue, but Ken, give some contact information very quickly if people want to find out more about Guide Dog Users of California.
If you would like to get some information or are interested in finding out exactly what we do with Guide Dog Users of California, GDUC, you can use my email address and send me an email. I'll be happy to answer it and get the information if I don't have it. My email is Ken Metz, that's KenMetz @sbcglobal.net.
Okay, and Steve, your information?
You can get the best information at our website, pawsla.org. It has all the basic what we do and other resources, and we're developing and creating new resources. And I would just like to say, I think we agree more than disagree, and I hope that we can work together to create systems that make it easier for everyone who's a responsible animal guardian who is in need of it as a service animal.
All right, I want to thank Ken Metz, Guide Dog Users of California, Steve Whalen from PAWS, Pets Are Wonderful Support, and Linda Barth from the Department of Animal Services. If you would like information about the Department on Disability, let me repeat the contact information I mentioned earlier. You may reach us by phone at 213-485-6334 voice or 213-485-6655 TTY or via email at www.lacity.org/DOD. Also, if you have a question or comment about Disability Forum, please email me directly at mitch.pomerantz@lacity.org. I want to hear from you. Your feedback is certainly taken seriously. This has been Disability Forum with your host, Mitch Pomerantz. Until next time, thanks for watching and take care.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning. This is the meeting of the Los Angeles City Council, Friday, September 14th. Welcome to the City of Los Angeles. Thank you, Councilmember Huizar, Labange, Reyes, Rosendahl, and Wesson. Would ask Councilmembers Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Perry, and Zine and Garcetti to make their way down to the City Council chambers. This being Friday, we have many special presentations, in particular Latino Heritage Month. Just before we begin, I know there is a quick introduction by Mr. Labange, and then we will go to our presentations. Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. I just want to ask Jean Thompson to come right here on this beautiful day for the League of Women Voters. Let's give the League of Women Voters a great hand, huh?
Thank you.
We have a very special delegation, and Jean, tell us if they please stand from Russia. Stand right there. Please tell them.
Oh, God. This is a delegation from Russia. They're over here from the Open World Leadership Council through the Congress and our National League of Women Voters. They're studying the health system and welfare systems in our country.
Well, let's give them a big hand and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Rosendahl.
And also, as Mr. Rosendahl's on the phone, I want to salute our friends from Busan, Korea, right here, our sister city. They're here. It's our 40th anniversary. Let's give them a lot of praise and recognition, and our deputy mayors, Mr. Kevin Acebo, greeted them as well. Big hand for Busan, Korea.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam
Brief presentation,
President.
yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Labange. Can I ask Sylvia Levin to come on up? We open our council meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance as a tradition. And I'm going to ask, with the permission of Madam President, that Sylvia Levin open it up with the Pledge of Allegiance. And the reason is that Sylvia Levin, for the last 36 years, has been registering people in the Los Angeles area. 46,250 people she has registered in the last 34 years. Give her a round of applause for that. And before we go any further, I would like Sylvia to have everybody stand, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, and let her be the person that leads us in the pledge. Okay? Can we all stand? Put our right hand over our heart and repeat after Sylvia. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sylvia. Stand right here for a second so the world can know about this great lady. Folks, if we had more Sylvia Levins, we would have a better democracy. We would have more participation in the democracy. To make the democracy work, we must register and participate. Sylvia, 6 days a week, sets up a little stand in different places in the Southland and gets people to register. She don't care if you register as a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. She wants you to participate in the political process. She has been a model for all Americans. She also has been involved in cleaning up local state beaches, assisting the homeless, serving dinner in her home to bus drivers. She takes all public transportation wherever she goes. And you know something, folks? Today is her 90th birthday. If we took our 60s to 90s and did what Sylvia does, this country would be a better country. Sylvia, today you are 90 years old, and everybody, let's all sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sylvia. Happy birthday to you. There's her son, there's your daughter, there's your friend Sylvia. Get up and say a few words. Just say whatever you like, dear.
Okay. I want to thank Councilman Bill Rosendahl, Council President Eric Garcetti, and the LA City Council for this honor and recognition. Since 1973, I have been registering voters, and it has been my privilege to volunteer and provide this service. Democracy rests on our involvement and constant participation. We embrace democracy and we preserve our future. Thank you, everyone, and register and vote.
Great. And
Thank you very
colleagues,
much.
As you know, you've all signed this. The mayor has signed it. The city attorney and the controller have signed it. All of the city council has signed it, Mr. President. And this is a fantastic day for all of us. Sylvia, here you go, babe. That's yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl.
Let's go, folks. In the back.
I'd like to acknowledge our council president, Mr. Garcetti, for a special presentation this morning.
All right, Fran, come on up. Thank you very much, Madam President. And colleagues, it gives me great joy today to present to you one of our favorite Angelenos and somebody who has distinguished herself not only in her art and in the grace with which she performs as an actress, but also the activism that she has done as a person who is allowing this country to move forward with combating cancer here in America. Many of us, of course, know Fran Drescher from The Nanny and from her opus of work as a television and film actress. But many of us do not know that she is a uterine cancer survivor. She was misdiagnosed and mistreated for a perimenopause condition that she didn't have. It took her 2 years and 8 doctors before finally being told that she had gynecological cancer. And as a result of this experience, Fran wrote the New York Times bestseller, Cancer Schmancer, with the hopes that in telling her story, she would prevent what happened to her happening to others as well. And on her book tour, I think many of us have followed around the country. It's just been amazing how women and families have come forward to pour their hearts out and to connect with the work that she is doing, and to allow Fran to realize what happened to her happened to millions of other women as well. It was then that she realized this book was not an end, but it was actually a beginning to the work that she wanted to do, a life mission to improve women's health care here in America. She then started the Cancer Schmancer movement, the mission of which is to ensure that all women's cancers be diagnosed in stage 1, when it is most curable because early detection equals survival. It is perhaps right now, with what we have technologically, the most preventable step along the way when folks have cancer. I know so many of us in these chambers have been touched by cancer, directly in our families. Certainly my parents have collectively had cancer almost a handful of times and thankfully survived them. We all have lost friends and family to cancer too, where the diagnosis did not happen early enough. So this work and this mission that Fran is doing is something that touches each one of us. Through education, legislation, and social reform, the Cancer Schmancer movement urges women to take control of their bodies, to become greater partners with their physicians, and to galvanize, to let legislators know that their voice and their vote matter. As Fran says, I got famous, then I got cancer, and now I live to talk about it. Sometimes the best gifts come in the ugliest packages. Although this is a very beautiful package here as well today. So Fran has been somebody who has just been an incredible voice. She has helped monumental legislation pass at the federal level. She's headed to Washington next week, I believe, or shortly. And she's here to raise awareness in her town, where she's lived for over 30 years. We salute your work, Fran, and we encourage all women to heed your call as we recognize your promotion of Gynecological Cancer Awareness Month this September. So with that, is Leslie going to say anything? No. Okay. With that, it gives me great joy to present to you, and then we'll present her with a commendation from the city, the one, the only, the indomitable Fran Drescher.
Thank you. Thank you so much, President Councilman Garcetti, and to all the council members and Mayor Villaragosi and his whole cabinet. I'm absolutely honored to be here today. Certainly, There have been many, many silver linings to my cancer survival. Certainly realizing that turning pain into purpose heals is one of them, and then becoming the visionary and president of the Cancer Schmancer movement has added a resonance to my life that I wouldn't have otherwise known. Ensuring that all women's cancers get diagnosed in stage 1 and shifting the course of women's health history has indeed become my life's mission. I believe that the woman is the center of society from which all else ripples out. Neither man nor woman, we all started in the womb, and it behooves us all to keep them healthy. So that is our first frontier, because even on the plane, they tell the woman to put her face mask on first before her family, because frankly, you're useless to your family if you're 6 feet under. And we've been conditioned to put our needs second to our family, but I think that now in this 21st century, we have to realize, as well as our elected officials, that it's most important to keep the woman healthy, because she is responsible for the children, for caring for her husband, and she's the member of the family that cares for the family elders as well. So at all costs, we must keep women healthy, make sure that they know what the earliest warning symptoms are for their cancers, what the tests are available, and what preventive methods they can include in their daily life so that they can live long and healthy lives. And perhaps the daughters of tomorrow will thank we visionaries of today for giving them a world where no woman has to die of cancer due to late-stage diagnosis. Now today being recognized by the City of Los Angeles, a place that I have called home for almost 30 years, is just the icing on the cake. So I thank you all very much, and it just makes my heart grow to be recognized in this way and to be in this beautiful, beautiful building amongst all of you. So God bless, long life, and thank you very, very much.
And Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Drescher, we have Mr. Garcetti. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Hahn for comments.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I just really want to rise, Fran, and tell you thank you. You certainly have shown yourself to be such a fabulous celebrity and actress. You have fans all around the world. I'm one of those. And I really appreciate it that you took this event in your life, which could have been kept secret, could have been hidden, could have been something that you really didn't want to talk about, and you just put it right there out front. And what you are doing is certainly going to save millions of lives for women. And your message of empowering women to take care of ourselves, to take care of our health, because I try to tell these guys all the time, it is all about the women. Everything revolves around us. And for that message to go out is so important and so empowering for women, because still there are many women who have not empower themselves, whether they're in an abusive situation or whether they're in a low-paying job or whether they're not getting the kind of respect and dignity they deserve. Your message, not only for health, but really for so many other aspects of women's lives, is immeasurable, is so valuable, and it took a lot of courage and bravery for you to not only be fighting for your own health, but to be fighting for the health of women everywhere. So I salute you and I thank you, and I'm so glad, Councilmember Garcetti, that we're taking this opportunity to honor her today. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. LaBonge.
Thank you very much. And Drescher, congratulations. Ms. Hahn, you're right. It's all about the women. And God bless our mothers. Without our mothers, we wouldn't be here, all of us. So it's so wonderful. And Fran and Mr. Garcetti, thank you for honoring such a special person. I myself, my wife Bridget, was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was a horrible year, but she fought strong and got great care and love from USC Norris. and was able to beat it. But it is an issue that and then she becomes alumni, as you are, in talking about it, so we all know about it. It's a reality that we got to look at for women in a stronger way, as for men in prostate cancer. So I just wanted to stand up and thank you for coming here, because the important thing about your voice is, even though you've been here 30 years, you sound like you're still from New York. The important thing is that people listen to you more often than you would believe, because if you say something, they follow that lead. And I know it's happened in your industry a lot. I thank you. I salute you. Mr. Garcetti, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to thank you for your words. I would hope your book could be translated into Spanish. There are so many women of color who are not considered in a manner in which the credit they deserve. And as such, the feminization of poverty and looking at what happens to all our women who are essentially suffering under what some might call the oppressiveness of the machismo, medical needs is very, very dire. So thank you for your words, and I would love to see your book in Spanish and other languages so that those women will understand how important they are for our communities and for our city and for this universe. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, and I'd like to add my congratulations and echo Ms. Han's comments. There's only 3 of us women here. We do feel that we're in charge, and most important, Ms. Han, Ms. Perry, and myself. But most importantly, you have used your celebrity for wonderful purpose of educating people about this issue. And all too often, celebrities do not do that. And we really appreciate the fact that you have used your voice to educate people, and sometimes to educate the medical field about listening to women when they tell them what they think is wrong with them, and to help them through that. And I think you are a wonderful role model for not only those of us as elected officials, but young women as well. So congratulations on all of your successes, and particularly thank you for helping all women in not only here in the United States, but across the world. Congratulations.
And so I want to thank my colleagues for their wonderful and generous comments, and on behalf of myself, Ms. Han, Ms. Gruhl, and Ms. Perry, who have all signed on to this as well, we want to present to you from your city this certificate of commendation in recognition of your outstanding efforts on encouraging women everywhere to take control of their bodies, challenge their physicians, and learn from the early warning systems for women's cancers. You have demonstrated sensitivity and understanding which goes beyond the normal call of duty. The Los Angeles City Council commends you for your dedication in empowering women and increasing awareness in our community, presented with appreciation for exemplary performance and a job well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Should I say something?
We're good. And I'll just help.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Here, let me turn this around.
And we'll probably take a 5-second break we'll go on to our next presentation. So we'll hold on just a minute.
No hay otra cosa más linda que las mañanitas frías. Cantarle a mi rancherito mañanitas zapatillas, que nos traen mucha alegría, que emociona el cuerpo mío, de los sones sabaqueños y un mariachi tapatío. canción mexicana la que se merece honor, por ser la más primorosa que alimento en el amor. Hay canciones extranjeras que alborotan la pasión, pero ni una se compara con esta linda canción. Que si Adelita quisiera ser mi novia, que si Adelita fuera mi mujer, le compraría un vestido de seda para llevarla a bailar al cuartel. Gracias, thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. We have been joined by Mayor Villaraigosa, our City Attorney Rocky Delgadillo, and many of our council members for our Latina Heritage Month celebration. So I'd like to now acknowledge our President, Eric Garcetti, for this presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And it's a day of incredible women, as we saw from the mariachis who greeted us all just a moment ago. It gives me great joy as President of the Council and on behalf of the entire City Council to welcome the Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, Antonio Villaraigosa, as we kick off the celebration for 2007 Latino Heritage Month. We're joined here by our City Attorney, Rocky Delgadillo, as well. And I know many members have been very involved in the planning, but let's get it kicked off. First, please welcome our Mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa.
Buenos días. No. Buenos días.
Buenos días, Alcalde Villaraigosa.
All right. Before we continue, let's give a big round of applause to Mariachi Divas. Bravo a las Mariachi Divas. Aren't they great? We'll get to hear more of them and from them in a few minutes. And of course, as always, whenever I come into the chamber, I want to acknowledge and thank the Council President, Garcetti, and all of the members of the City Council, City Attorney Rocky Delgadillo, and every one of you who are here joining us today. We take it for granted, but LA is truly blessed. We're blessed because of the people that live in this city. Few places can boast a heritage as rich as ours. This is the city where the world comes together. We speak some 224 different languages. We have people who come here from every corner of the earth. We built a community unlike any other place in the United States. Many of you know, because Council Member Garcetti and I love to remind all of us that 44 settlers came to Los Angeles on the remote periphery of the Spanish Empire, scratching a pueblo out of dust, constrained by natural resources, unblessed by geography, limited only to what human beings could imagine and build. But that's always been the story of Los Angeles, a city defined by hopes, dreams, innovation, and possibility. And today, as we celebrate the official beginning of Latino Heritage Month, I'm proud to recognize and honor three prominent leaders of the Latino community. Our first honoree today is a truly irreplaceable figure, a man of indomitable spirit, a man whose voice, passion, and dedication serves as an example to all aspiring actors and activists. I remember the image, and I think every one of you do as well. It was 1992. The civil disturbances in Los Angeles had occurred. The city was tearing at the seams. Everybody feeling this tension in our city, feeling a remorse about the conflict, the conflagration that was occurring. And one man stood up and he picked up a broom. And with that broom, he inspired a city. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2007 Latino Heritage Month Spirit of Los Angeles Award to Eddie Olmos. Get in here. We'll be speaking outside. The one thing I've learned after serving on this council floor for 2 years, today is a very busy day for the council, so we'll have speeches, more speeches outside, where we'll get to hear from our honorees. But for now, let me just say, in Los Angeles, where dreams rest at the foundation of our success, there are few who can match the imagination and the innovation of Gustavo Santa Olaya. Santa Olaya. Thank you. That's okay. Hey, see what happens when you're born in the USA? Gustavo Santa Olaya. He's a man who moved from Argentina to the U.S., and he crossed borders to fuse different styles of music into Oscar-nominated masterpieces. I saw him at the Academy Awards a couple of years ago, and I tell you, there was a sense of pride in knowing of the tremendous journey that this individual had to traverse to get here today. And so it's my pleasure to present to you the 2007 Latino Heritage Month Dream of Los Angeles Award. Santa Olaya, ahora mira. And we're blessed, absolutely blessed, to have a singer, a composer, a producer, and a visionary like Pepe Aguilar here in this community. Many of you know his father, his family has been a mainstay in the Mexican music and cultural scene for decades. And I can tell you that Pepe has always been a chip off the old block. And while his father is no longer with us, I can tell you that all of us, every one of us, our prayers are with them. And of course, we're so fortunate to have Pepe, his voice, his music, which gives us hope for a better future. So you know, he used to live in Mexico. He moved to Los Angeles. This is where he's raising his family. He is currently in concert as we speak, but will be here for the closing ceremonies. He brought with us his friend of many decades, Jesus Felix, who will accept this on his behalf. Just very quickly, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I want to extend a special thank you to the Walt Disney Company for once again becoming the title sponsor of the city's 2007-2008 Heritage Month celebrations. So that means Latino Heritage Month, African American Heritage Month, and Asian American Heritage Month. And this year, last year and this year, we'll also be celebrating Native American Heritage Month as well. And so with us and our partners is a representative of the Walt Disney Company. We want to thank them because, as we know, They place a great importance on the arts, on culture. I was speaking with a Disney official yesterday, and we were talking about Disney's, commitment to diversity and to this city, which is emblematic of that diversity. Let me bring up Monica Ojeda to receive this acknowledgement. There you go. Oh, yes, you do. Come on up. You also have something very important for us, so let's have you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Buenos dias. On behalf of the Walt Disney Company, I'm honored and thrilled to be here today. We are thrilled to once again to be the title sponsor of Latino Heritage Month and celebrate the wonderful contributions made by Latinos to the city of Los Angeles. We are happy to recognize not only our distinguished honorees here today, but Latinos throughout Los Angeles. Thank you again for allowing us to celebrate with you. We have here a check, Mayor, for $300,000.
Come on over here.
And this is our sponsorship for the Heritage Month celebrations.
We like that. Okay, then. We got to move you guys out for a second. We like $300,000. There you go.
I'll take that for you.
Thank you. And I want everybody to know what it goes for, because what's so important about Latino Heritage Month, African American Heritage Month, all of the various months that we celebrate our culture, is we have a very committed program to working with our kids, to celebrating our diversity, to celebrating our communities, the rich cultural tapestry of the many communities that make up this city. And when people ask me why we celebrate these four communities, I say because, unfortunately, there was a time when these communities and their contributions were not celebrated. And this is a new city, a new day when we celebrate every one of our communities. And again, thank you to the Walt Disney Company for this commitment to our kids and this education effort. Finally, I want to thank our official media sponsor today, which is ABC7. Thank you. Time. Let's also thank once again Time Warner Cable. They're our official cable company here. Wells Fargo Bank for presenting our essay and poster contest, and the Nielsen Company and Target for their continued support. Now, I want to thank, hey, I'm going to tell you, my daughter, Maricela, who's sitting over there, she shops at Target all the time. That's where she gets Daddy's presents from. Hopefully next year, just might get something else. Now I want to thank the Executive Director of our Department of Cultural Affairs. I'm so excited by her, Olga Garay, and her Marketing and Development team for producing another beautiful Latino Heritage Month calendar and cultural guide. I'd like to ask the members of the City Council to please join me in unveiling this year's calendar. Oh, wait. Okay, here we go. We got this. So we get up front here, right? We do it up front here? Yeah, why don't we get up front here?
Yes, so I turn it around so the cameras can see.
You know, someone's got it. It's part of the president's responsibility.
Thank you. All right, everybody. What are we doing now? All right. Okay.
Still need to turn it towards.
Let's
here.
turn it toward there. And
Step to the right.
2 shots. First of all, we'll show it here. We're going to unveil it. This is the Latino Heritage Calendar I got Vanna and Van and okay. Keep your hand on it, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Wow. That beautiful? Is that gorgeous? Is that gorgeous? Again, this is our artist.
Viviana Aparicio Chamberlain, and these are two hearts, dos corazones, an Aztec, and they represent eternal love, mother and child. And thank you, and for the City Council and the Department of Cultural Affairs for supporting our children, supporting all our causes, and putting efforts out to end the war.
Thank you.
Because we love our children.
We love our hearts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you. All right. So I believe, again, I want to thank all of the artists. I also want to present certificates very quickly to the designers who participated in this effort as well. And very quickly, one to Oscar Margallanes. And then, and Daniel Gonzalez. He's not here, but we thank him anyways. Finally, unas pocas palabras en español porque vi que hay una cámara de Univisión. Hoy celebramos la gerencia latina aquí en Los Ángeles. Como todos saben, esta ciudad fue fundado por unos 44 pioneros de Nueva España en estos tiempos, pero ahora de los estados de Coahuila y Sonora. Y la verdad es, desde esos primeros momentos, la ciudad ha sido una ciudad diversa. Ellos vinieron de herencia africana, vinieron con herencia europea, indio y mestizo, y reflejan la diversidad de Los Ángeles. Esperamos que con esta mes de esperanza y herencia podemos hacer todo posible para educar a Los Ángeles de la importancia de la diversidad y de la influencia y la gerencia latina aquí en esta gran ciudad. Muchas gracias. And with that, I'd like to ask the Council President to say a few words.
The City Attorney, Rocky Delgadillo. That's a few words.
That is a few words. During Latino Heritage Month, we celebrate and commemorate many things. But one of the things that we celebrate and commemorate, I think, is captured most poetically by a quote from the great poet Maya Angelou. You could write me down in history with hateful, twisted lies. You can tread me in this very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. And I think our three honorees today demonstrate that at the highest level. Certainly, Eddie Olmos, who I've known for many years, allows that dust to rise, and I helped it along, hastened it along with a broom. And Gustavo and Pepe put it to music. And all of them have lifted up our community in ways that today we celebrate and acknowledge. All of us will persevere. All of us have acquired new levels of influence and power in the city, and we should celebrate that. And we have great representatives here today of that exact political empowerment. So it's a proud moment for me, to celebrate our honorees and to celebrate our colleagues here who are living those best traditions of Maya Angelou's quote and rising up in this great city of angels. Thank you very much.
Next, I want to introduce from the 1st Council District, a man who represents many parts of this diverse city and a chair of our Planning Land Use Management Committee. Please welcome the 1st District, Councilmember Ed Reyes.
Thank you, Council President Garcetti. Thank you, Mayor Villaraigosa, my colleagues, our City Attorney Rocky Delgadillo, for being able to stand here in front of everyone and celebrate this great month. But it also should be a time to reflect where we should be. Now, this is not about negatives. This is not about being focused on what's hurting us. But let's talk about the fact that if we could extend these efforts, this energy, so our kids can achieve 100% graduation, where our kids could be wearing uniforms that are of doctors and lawyers and not in prisons and jails, that would make such a huge impact to the quality of life of this great city, if not this country. So as we move forward, we'll become recognized for our voter base, for our spending dollars, for our ability to influence every stage of our lives, from our child care providers to our senior care providers. We know that with these celebrations, we should look at these challenges and do everything in our power to make a difference for our grandchildren. So for that, I thank you for this focus, and I would hope this would carry on, not only this month, but 12 months out of the year, so we can make a change for the quality of life for all. Thank you very much.
Good job. Thank you, sir. And from the heart of the San Fernando Valley's very own, and the man who has distinguished himself not just in this body but also in our state legislature, please welcome Tony Cardenas.
I always look forward to Latino Heritage Month, and I just want to thank the mayor for bringing it to a higher and higher level every single year. I'm here to support this. I think it's very important for people to understand that Latino Heritage Month is an opportunity for us to remember that every day of the year we have so much to be thankful for about the diversity in this city and in this country. And there was a time where all I had to do to remind myself about Latino heritage was to go to my mother and father's house in Pacoima that they moved into in 1955 and raised 11 children in, and then realized Latino Heritage Month with all the wonderful music and food and stories about how wonderful this culture is. But now that they're not here, it's incumbent upon us to continue to promote the wonderful, beautiful heritage of Latinos, of Mexicanos, Centroamericanos, Suramericanos, everyone who brings the diversity of Los Angeles and makes this country the great country that it is. So I hope all of you enjoy this month. I hope all of you enjoy the wonderful food and the music and the festivities, but also remember, anywhere you turn in Los Angeles, any day of the year, you can enjoy that as well. Thank you.
And next, El Jefe del Grito for this year, the man who has also distinguished himself on the school board, where he was the president of the school board, and now from LA's East Side. Please welcome from the 14th Council District, Jose Huizar.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a real honor to be here to celebrate Latino Heritage Month, and I want to acknowledge Mayor Villaraigosa for selecting a great group of individuals to be recognized for Latino Heritage Month, in particular Eddie Olmos, who grew up in the 14th Council District, and from the neighborhood, and whose mother's maiden name has a very uncommon last name, Huizar. So, anything to say, I'm related to Eddie Olmos and his beautiful mother, who's here, by the way. Welcome, Miss Olmos. Like Councilmember Ed Reyes say, we celebrate Latino Heritage Month every month of the year. It's a great time to reflect about the contribution that many Latinos have made to this wonderful country. Not only in food, as the tortillas we all eat, the tacos, the menudo, we're all getting hungry now, the pozole, but also the contribution.
What can I say?
The contributions we've also made to our culture. English language now has some Spanish words in them, and we all know how much our children benefit by learning several languages, and Spanish is now one of the most spoken languages other than English. But it's also a time to not only reflect, but to think about the future. The future of this country that has 44 million Latinos and growing, and the dependency that the country will have on this growing population for its workforce, its attorneys, its teachers, its future leaders. So it's a great month to celebrate, and it's a great month to celebrate all year long. Thank you. Have a great month, this Latino Heritage Month 2007.
And my fellow members of the Latino Caucus did point out that Jose Huizar is the only puro Mexicano of the bunch. He's actually born from Mexico, so we appreciate his words. And I didn't know whether I was going in order of seniority on the council, but this last council member is kind of confusing in that respect because he's the rookie, but he's a very familiar face around here, somebody who's distinguished himself also in the state legislature and here. Please welcome back the great council member from the 7th District, our very own Richard Alarcon.
Thank you, Eric. Well, it is a pleasure to be back to celebrate again Latino Heritage Month. I actually worked on the very first committee. In fact, Ed did it as a staffer, and he represented Mike Hernandez on that committee. No, it wasn't 1781, Eric. But the idea was to take a month and have Los Angeles embrace its own heritage. And so the only thing I would add to all these wonderful speeches is that everyone in Los Angeles should celebrate Latino heritage because, in fact, I don't know too many people who aren't related to a Latino in Los Angeles. And so as we exhibit our culture, our heritage, the wonderful colors and music, but also the heart, I hope that all the people of Los Angeles will celebrate this incredible heritage that has created this incredibly diverse city, and that we can all come together to be that model for the nation that we all strive to be. It is a great month for Latinos, but it's indeed a great month for all people of Los Angeles.
Thank you, council members, and very briefly, I want to congratulate our honorees and thank the mayor for extraordinary choices. Eddie has been a joy to work with and to call a friend. The Latino Film Festival in Hollywood has been a real cornerstone of our creative life here in Los Angeles, and we thank you for that and your activism. Gustavo and Pepe, obviously, as well, who have contributed. Pepe was one of our performers in El Grito a few years back. And every single person, I'll just say one last thought, which I say every single year, our heritage here in Los Angeles is a Latino heritage that was the folks that the mayor talked about, the pobladores, all of them were Latino, and yet they were black and they were white and they were Asian and they were native. And in that way, we all trace those roots and celebrate Latino Heritage Month, not as a celebration just of one segment of the city, but our entire city and its entire history. So congratulations, felicidades, gracias al alcalde Viragosa, and to this incredible council, who everybody here really has done an extraordinary job as Latinos have continued to be a part of life here. Ms. Perry, who hosts El Grito every year, Mr. Labange, who has part of Hollywood, where we've had the Latino Heritage Month in South Los Angeles, Mr. Weston and Mr. Parks as well. Each one of you have really done an extraordinary job. So thank you, and I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Again, I want to thank all of my staff and the staff of the council members who have participated in this event. This was a family affair, make no mistake about it. I look forward to seeing everybody at El Grito with Senor Huizar, and thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Delgadillo and the council members. I'd now like to acknowledge Mr. Huizar for Mexican Independence Day presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And I wanted now to acknowledge our great consul from Mexico, General Ruben Beltran, as the city of Los Angeles celebrates El Grito September 16th with our friend south of the border, Mexico, who gained its independence in 1810. And so we're here today to not only present a certificate of recognition to our consul, but also to celebrate El Grito, which we will have this Saturday at 8:30 here at City Hall steps with our friends who will be performing. To my delight, it has a Zacatecas flavor, being after all that I was born in the state of Zacatecas in Mexico. We have a tamborazo to start off the event. Then we're going to have a tribute to one of the honorees for Latino Heritage Month's father. The mayor mentioned him, Antonio Aguilar, who passed away this last few months, one of the most recognized singers from Mexico. His son, Antonio Aguilar Jr., will be here with us, along with his mother, Flor Silvestre. The city of Los Angeles is honored that Flor Silvestre has decided not to do a public performance after the passing of her husband, Antonio Aguilar, but has decided to be with us here in the city of Los Angeles this September 15th to celebrate with us as we do El Grito. So I invite you all to come to the performances. The performance will end with a great performance of Lucero. This is particularly important to me since I consider Mexico my mother country, and it's my great honor as we rotate the chairpersonship of this committee to have El Grito, and this year it happened to fall on just my second year on City Council. So with that, let me present to you Consul Beltran to say a few words and to fill us in on the history and details about what brought about the independence of Mexico, who now shares the liberty that we all share here in the United States. So please give a big round of applause to our representative from Mexico, a great friend, someone who is active in our community, someone who is very involved in the city of Los Angeles and supporting it through his role, Consul Beltran. Bienvenido.
I have to, first of all, thank El Padrino del Grito, the godfather of El Grito this year, 2007, Councilman Jose Huiza, and also thank past padrinos of El Grito, here present Eddie Garcetti, Ed Reyes, and Tony Cárdenas. And as Jose Huiza was saying, we are very proud of celebrating El Grito, or the call for independence, the reenactment of the call for independence here in Los Angeles. As you very well know, Mexico, in spite of all the cliches, and in spite of many labels that people try to tag on the Mexicans, Mexico is a very diverse country, it's a very plural country, and we now enjoy full-fledged democracy in my country, so we are very proud of what's happening in Mexico. And now I would like just to say, in this very diverse city, the only thing I would like to end, as my mother taught me, say, gracias, dankeschön, arigato, shukran, shukriya, merci beaucoup, shei, gracias Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
And now if I could introduce to you the chair of last year's El Grito, Tony Cárdenas. Tony.
Thank you, Jose, and congratulations on the wonderful work that you've done. Tomorrow night, right here on the corners of First Street here in front of City Hall, we're going to have a reenactment of El Grito, which was a wonderful opportunity for a country to memorialize their future. And as El Consul said, Mexico enjoys democracy as we do in this country. And it's important for everyone to understand independence of a country to create democracy is something that the United States of America has claimed to be working on for the rest of the world ever since its inception. So I think it's very fitting and important that we in the city of Los Angeles, the second largest city in the country, the second highest population of Mexicanos outside of Mexico City, should be involved in celebrating it in that reenactment, because it is as much about what we represent here in this United States of America as it does as a representation for the country of Mexico. As the Consul Beltran said, they enjoy democracy, they are our neighbors, we are together in many, many ways as two countries that recognize each other and work together and fight together on the same side in many issues around the world. So I think it's very important for us to take this celebration and to show the people of Los Angeles and this country what a wonderful relationship we have with Mexico and the history that we share. Thank you.
Councilmember Ed Reyes.
I just want to take a moment to thank Councilmember Huizar, Consul General Beltran for being here with us, but also to the staff of the district office, District 14. I know how hard it is to put this together.
They did all the work.
To work with the city family. You are the unsung heroes in this process, so round of applause to the staff and the city for putting this together. And it's great to be here with my colleagues, because each one of us carries this banner with pride. We represent the land of our fathers, the language of our fathers, and the culture which brings such diversity to the city. So for that, I thank you for being able to put together such a great event and to give an opportunity to show our pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And from the Valley, Councilmember Richard Alarcon.
Again, I think it's important for people to understand that this is just not a celebration about the grito for Mexicans. This is really an understanding of the appreciation for democracy, because the grito was a cry for justice, a cry for unification, a cry for activism, a cry for democracy, as was said. And so we can relate to this in this country. And those Latinos, those particularly Mexicans who have come to this country, can relate to this cry as they come to this country and still keep the flame burning for that same justice, that same democracy that was striven for back then. So we are here to represent that. I hope that people don't just think this is about tequila and cervezas. This is really as much a cultural and historical event, and I only hope that the kids can appreciate it as a cry for democracy.
Que viva Mexico! So with that, again, I want to invite you all tomorrow night, 8:30, here at the steps on the corner of Main Street. And first, I want to thank also GSD, who's done a wonderful job of helping us coordinate this event. I actually had the privilege of visiting Guadalupe in Guanajuato, where the original call for independence of Mexico happened. Saw the bell that brought liberty to Mexico, and it was great to see that we had many other young Americans, young children there, going back, finding their roots, the history of where their fathers and where they were born, to celebrate liberty, democracy, and the independence of Mexico. So with that, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I want to present to El Consul Beltran a certificate recognizing the independence of Mexico as we celebrate El Grito here in partnership with Mexico. When the President of Mexico rings a bell, and then the cameras turn to Los Angeles as we ring the bells here as well. To Consul Beltran, thank you for our continuing partnership between the City of Los Angeles and Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weiss. Our next presentation will be by Mr. Wesson.
Welcome. I want to thank Madam President and Councilman Garcetti for affording me the opportunity to kind of cut the line here today. I'm honored. This weekend we're having our annual Koreatown Festival and Parade. It's the 34th 34th annual. And with me today is a young man who will be the Grand Marshal. In fact, there are two Grand Marshals, co-Grand Marshals. There's myself and the governor from Gyeongsang-namdo Province in Korea. And what I'd like to do, I heard him speak yesterday at the kickoff ceremony. He's a very dynamic young governor who has a very, very bright future. I think we should be very nice to him because one day we may be calling you something other than governor. So it is with great pleasure that I present to you the Governor Kim Tae-ho. Please give him a round of applause.
I am happy to meet you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished Council President Eric Garcetti and Council members. I am Tae-ho Kim, the Governor of Gyeongnam Province in Korea. With Grand Marshal Herbert Watson, I was invited to LA Korea Festival as honorary Grand Marshal. LA Korean Festival has grown into the biggest Korean festivity throughout the world, boasting its longest history. I am glad to join this meaningful community event. Moreover, it is my greatest honor to take opportunity of being with you. The representative of this globally well-known region contain high strengths in every field. This beautiful city, where most Korean community gather, present me not only a feeling of intimacy, but amazement to see its exceptional development. I have no doubt this achievement caused by your continual effort in collaboration, one another, and respect to different culture in this multi-ethnic society. Honorable Council members, my home place, Gyeongnam, located in southern tip of Korean Peninsula, and 3.2 million people reside. We take pride in great potential and world top class of primary industry, including shipbuilding, aerospace, automobile, and machinery. Currently, we launched the Grand Namyan project to become a hub of economy, tourism, and culture in Asia. I believe that human being is the only hope, and its provincial slogan. Today, I hear that you are the hero who brought the hope in our society and devoted to build one community with all nations and races living together toward a common goal. I hope that we could build a foundation of our further amicable relationship between Gyeongnam Province and Los Angeles. I wish for your good luck and happiness of people in Los Angeles. We are the world, you are the one, we are the family. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Governor Kim, on behalf of Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa and my colleague Herb Wesson, we want to present you the certificate of friendship and let you know you're always loved here in Los Angeles. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. 감사합니다. Thank you.
Okay. 감사합니다, Madam President.
Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge our President Eric Garcetti for 2 presentations. After Mr. Garcetti will be Mr. Zine, followed by Mr. Wesson. We will, I think, try after Mr. Garcetti's presentations to go through the agenda quickly and then go back to the presentations.
You too. Thank you very much, Madam President. I know it's been a very busy morning with some great guests. We have a very important part of our government here that allows us, with our economic development, to reach out to businesses who are looking to expand their operations, who need capital up front to be able to make factories bigger, to be able to take schools that are nonprofits in the area and expand those. It's the Industrial Development Authority, and it has been led by a great Angelino and a friend of mine, somebody who has served this city extremely well. Appointed originally in September 2001 by then Mayor James Hahn, Keith Allen Neeson was on the board of directors through some of the years which I believe we really have turned that entity around. He was reappointed to one subsequent term as an IDA board member in July 2004 and served with distinction until this summer in 2007. He's guided the IDA through the issuance of more than $2.5 billion of bond financing on behalf of Los Angeles manufacturers, empowerment zone businesses, and nonprofit organizations such as schools. His hard work helped to bring businesses and jobs to Los Angeles at a time when it was critical in our city's history. And his work with the Industrial Development Authority has done all sorts of other things, helping to reduce neighborhood blight, improve access to goods and services, and has made also Los Angeles a more socially responsible and business-friendly city. He served as vice chair and has brought innovative ideas to the Industrial Development Authority, and these have expanded the use of Industrial Development Authority resources and safeguarded the public interest through fiscally prudent practices. He's always, though, served with grace, with distinction, with dignity, extraordinary competency, and a deep commitment to all of us here in the city of Los Angeles. With that, today we commend and acknowledge Keith for his exceptional public service on behalf of the city of Los Angeles and all of its residents. We thank you for taking this entity and really bringing it into the 21st century. We know as you're continuing to go back to private life that certainly we may have to call on you another day in the future to serve the people of Los Angeles, but I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to thank you for your great work on the IDA. Please welcome me in thanking Keith Allen Neeson on this day for the great service he provided to the people of Los Angeles. It's all you.
I just wanted to say it's been my great honor and privilege to serve the city and look forward to another opportunity someday. Thank you.
Short speeches win elections.
Thank you very much.
And finally, I have one other presentation I'd like to make today. And Gilbert, if you want to come join me, and the rest of the folks who have been very patient as well. Besides being Latino Heritage Month, it is also Life Insurance Awareness Month. And I think we've had 3 months today. It's actually Women's Cancer, Latino Heritage, but also Life Insurance Awareness Month. And I'm proud to continue a tradition that we began last year to raise awareness that nearly 70 million adult Americans do not have enough life insurance coverage needed to ensure a secure financial future for their loved ones. Insurance provides financial security for families in the event of a premature death by helping surviving family members to meet immediate and long-term financial obligations and objectives. And the recent studies have shown that when a premature death does occur, insufficient life insurance coverage results in 3/4 of surviving family having to take measures such as working additional jobs, longer hours, borrowing money, withdrawing money from savings accounts or investment accounts, and in some cases actually moving to lesser housing. This has a profound impact. The City of Los Angeles is proud to have the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors as one of its distinguished organizations in our community. It serves the needs of our citizens in improving financial services. The goal of the Life Insurance Awareness Month is to make consumers more aware of their life insurance needs and encourage them to seek professional advice. So pick up that phone today, call a life insurance specialist, and make sure that you have the coverage for your family. Today, as we declare September 2007 as Life Insurance Awareness Month, we encourage all citizens to take the necessary steps to ensure the financial security of their loved ones. And I'm proud to introduce my friend Gilbert Mares, who has been a great activist through many entities, but who is a person who has brought this to our office's attention each year to make sure that we can do a better job in this city. So before I present this resolution to him, please welcome Gilbert Mares.
My pleasure. I'll take that off you. Thank you. What I'd like to do is pass the baton. I was the local president for Los Angeles, but we have our current president, Tom Michael, who I'd like to give the opportunity to receive this proclamation on behalf of the National Association of Life Insurance Awareness Month of Los Angeles, which was established in 1890. Tom Michael.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you, Councilman Garcetti. Thank you, Madam President, fellow council members. My name is Tom Michael. I am the president of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors here in Los Angeles. There are approximately 800 associations like ours across the country. It's been a busy week. Just a week ago today, I attended a funeral and was able to hand a check to a spouse of a 48-year-old fraternity brother. And that check allowed their children to continue to go to school and stay in the house that they were brought up in. On Tuesday, our organization was in Washington, D.C. to meet with members of Capitol Hill to also go over the same endorsement which has been endorsed by the Bush administration as well as Governor Schwarzenegger's administration, and now we are greatly appreciative of this endorsement here today. Real quickly, because I know you've had a busy morning, but as Councilman Garcetti said, approximately 68 million Americans, according to recent studies, have no life insurance or not enough life insurance, and the numbers are declining. It is the goal of Life Insurance Awareness Month on a national basis to point out this need and encourage people to purchase insurance to protect their loved ones. This campaign will be national. You will see publications, you'll see national advertisements in Time, Newsweek, and other national publications featuring this. It is a $2.5 million campaign put on by the Life Insurance Awareness Month. We have a national spokeswoman this year. Many of you might remember Molly Shannon from Saturday Night Live fame. She will be the national spokesperson, and I believe she'll be on a lot of the news, morning news cast next week. Molly Shannon herself was 4 years old when her 34-year-old mother was killed in a car accident with Molly and the family. She also lost a sibling in the accident, and her father was very badly disabled. They had no insurance, no life insurance, no disability insurance. And Molly's push will be the push that, like much of us insurance professionals, is to encourage their clients to have enough adequate insurance. We again want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and we want to encourage all of you to make sure that you have enough life insurance. Thank you again.
Thank you. And on behalf of the city, we present this resolution for Life Insurance Awareness Month. Thank you for what you do as professionals to ensure that all of us have a greater measure of safety, and we will do our part to make sure that our constituents do as well. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, colleagues, we're going to go quickly through the agenda. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First orders of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Rosendahl moves. Mr. Reyes seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those will be approved.
On the regular agenda, item 1 is a street lighting district item, notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearing and ordinance to September 28th.
That will be continued till September 28th.
Items 2 through 12 are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 2 and 3 are confirmation of commissioners. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
We will hold those on the desk, item 2 and 3.
And there's been a request to continue item 7 for 60 days to November 14th.
That will be continued 60 days. We do have, I know Ms. Perry would like to have on item 10, even though there has been a public hearing, to go ahead and have item 10 also held on the desk. Any other specials, colleagues? Ms. Hahn.
Let's call item 12 special.
Item 12? Okay. Any other specials? Mr. Zine?
On item number 4, agenda item number 4. For the record, this is at the recommendation of the City Attorney's Office in consideration of any potential future conflict of interest regarding the ordinance to implement a voluntary recall authority for the Chief of the Los Angeles Police Department, I would like to declare that I have no intention of participating in the voluntary recall program as modified by this vote in council today or my vote in the Personnel Committee. In other words, I'm going to stay here and not go back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Also, on items number 5 and 6, there is some substitute language that Mr. City Attorney has prepared, which moves that the council amend the recommendation set forth in the Plum Committee report dated September 11, 2007, to find that the action is generally exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA pursuant to Article 2, Section 1 of the city's guidelines, and adopt the September 14, 2007 findings of the Director of Planning as the findings of the council. That is for items number 5 and 6, an oral amendment. So those items and remainder of the items are now before us. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Next items.
Items 13 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Yes, we do have a card on item 14, so that will be called special. Any other specials, colleagues, between 13 and 21? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Thank you. We
I
can...
would take care of the items on the regular agenda. Do you wish to take up the special meeting?
Yes, please, recess to special meeting.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wittenstein, Garcetti, 12 members present, and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First items.
There's one item agenda. Item 22 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Yes, although public hearing had been held, we are going to ask that that be held here today as well. We'll call that special.
Do you wish to continue that over to the regular
Continue
meeting?
that to the regular agenda, please.
And recess the special meeting, go back to the regular?
Thank you. We'll go back to the regular agenda. I'd like to, before we have our next presentation, to introduce some international visitors. Was this what you were going to do, Mr. Labange? Please, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We have some very fine local and state representatives from India here on behalf of the United States State Department, the International Visitors Council of Los Angeles. Please welcome these distinguished gentlemen here on their visit to Los Angeles. Thank you.
I'd now like to ask Mr. Zine for our next presentation. Mr. Zine.
Okay. Are we here discussing contracts again? I hope not.
Pass that
In the secret envelope? Here we go. Well, it's a sad day when we have to say farewell to a dedicated member of our city family who's joined her with her husband Steve and family members and members of the CAO's office, a familiar face around here for many, many years. Royce Minkus is retiring after more than 3 decades of dedicated service to the people of Los Angeles. She is the Assistant City Administrative Officer managing the Employee Relations Division of the Office of the City Administrative Operations. Employees of the CAO and department citywide profit from her vast knowledge and expertise in personnel and labor relations. And I must add, when I was a director with the Police Protective League, and we were at the table negotiating, it was always an exciting experience. Her career began at the Department of Traffic in May 1973 as a junior administrative assistant, promoted to personnel analyst in February 1975. In 1977, Royce joined the CAO as administrative assistant, administrative analyst. During the next 19 years, she promoted up the rank to senior administrative analyst 2, first serving as a budget analyst and then as a chief negotiator in the Employee Relations Division. And you were the chief negotiator. And there was another guy with you by the name of Gordon Lawler. Working with such diverse unions as the Engineers and Architects Association, Municipal Construction Inspectors Association, and the United Firefighters of Los Angeles. In February 1995, the Fire and Police Pension Systems recognized your talents and hired you as the Assistant Retirement Plan Manager. In August 1997, rejoined the CAO as the Chief Administrative Analyst managing the Employee Relations Division. After a short tour of duty with the Department of Water and Power as the Assistant General Manager for Labor Relations, you returned to your home in the office of the CAO in April 1999 to assume current position of Assistant CAO, where you have earned praise and respect from both management and union colleagues for your dedication and problem-solving skills. And we must mention there are 40,000 city employees in the city of Los Angeles, so it's a daunting task to get all those contracts implemented. In retirement, you plan to spend time traveling with your husband Steve, performing volunteer work, hiking in the hilltops of Los Angeles, which I thought was interesting. And more interesting than that, finding her Zen place. I didn't know this at all. As a dedicated yoga student, that really shocked me when I read that. Steve, are you into Zen?
No, not yet.
You found it. Well, I'm close to Zen Zine. So on behalf of the entire council, I'd like to commend you and acknowledge your wonderful work with a resolution commending all that you've done for the 3 decades, not only here at the City Council, but over at the Water and Power. And all those city employees that have a contract can acknowledge you and the fine work you have done. And believe me, it is a task to get a contract done. People think, you sit there and negotiate, have a cup of coffee. It's a challenging task, and you've done extremely well with that. So on behalf of the mayor and the other city family members, I want to acknowledge your retirement and wish you well as you continue to find Zen and yoga. Royce Minkus. And we'll hear from Karen Sisson, who's the chief of the office, or the general manager, however you want to call yourself.
Whatever you call me, as long as you call me. I just want to acknowledge, as many of you know, I have been in my position for less than a year. And one of the first people that came to me when I was given the honor of serving as CAO was Royce. And she has been incredibly generous with her knowledge, with her expertise, with her experience, and has been nothing but supportive of me in my early tenure. And it will be a great loss to the office in terms of her experience, her knowledge, her institutional background, and the staff that she has developed. And so it's with mixed emotions that I stand here and I wish her the absolute best in what's in front of her. And we've talked that she may even find a little time in that search for Zen to consult on a basis when we need her from time to time. So congratulations and thank you very much.
And Mr. Zine, before, I was going to say Mr. Parks, but Mr. Garcetti.
From the shadow of Mr. Parks' chair, because I know that if he were here, he would also want to add his good wishes. Royce, thank you for being the strength of this city. Thank you for being the strength of this council and this entity around here to be able to make sure that we are always looking out for the bottom line. It is so easy to give in government and to not think about the consequences. It is much harder to hold the line. And you have been that line, quite literally. You have been that line for the city to ensure that in financial times that have been bad and in the good times that we're responsible, that AA bond rating is like an A+ for you and for your performance and the entire team that is here. And we're going to really miss you. I really enjoyed meeting your son the other day and got a good apple there, fell from the tree. And I suspect we may see you popping up in many different ways, either interacting with us, someplace around here close by, but I know that you will always consider this home, and I hope that you will reach out to us and tell us when that line begins to fray a little bit what we need to do to get it tightened up again and to make sure that we have the best possible city and the best use of tax dollars out there. So congratulations. We love you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. I'd just like to add my congratulations as well. Royce, you have helped so many of us who came into the City Council not knowing about some of the negotiation kinds of things and been able to calmly sit in our ERC meeting and give us advice and counsel. And I appreciate that. And I hope to see you more often hiking in our neighborhood, that we see each other a little disguised with our hats and sunglasses on. But look forward to it. You've been a great asset to the City of Los Angeles and will be sorely missed. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm really grateful to the kind words and for the opportunity to have served the city for all these years. My career has been particularly meaningful as a born and raised Angelino who's been a city resident for my entire life and whose family roots actually go back to before 1920 between my husband and myself. It's been fascinating and interesting to watch the city grow, and also as an employer. When I came to work for the city, unions barely existed, and we know they have a very significant role today, and it was really a privilege to be a part of watching that entire process develop. I was involved in the pension issues for many years, which was very gratifying, and I certainly hope that I did a small part to ensure the financial soundness of our pension system while providing for financial security for current and future retirees. I want to thank all of the members of the CAO staff, and particularly the dedicated men and women of the Employee Relations Division who are out on the front lines every day representing the city, and certainly my husband, my son, and his girlfriend for being here and supporting me. Thank you all very much.
We're coming back also. Let's do one here first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine.
I've got one more.
Oh, okay.
I've got one more, Madam President. Thank you. And it's ironic that following Royce, we discussed the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the union for Los Angeles police officers, and I've got with us this morning Tim Sands, and Tim Sands is the new president of the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the union that represents members of the Los Angeles Police Department. And we have a welcome, and joining Tim are his fellow directors that'll be up here at the podium in a moment. Tim Sands, welcome to City Council. You're now the president of the Police Protective League. Member of the Los Angeles Police Department for over 33 years. Previously spent 18 years working the streets in patrol, traffic, vice, and narcotics. Been vice president of the league for 5 years, representing many Los Angeles police officers and administrative boards of rights hearings. Also served as Police Protective League as a board of treasurer, watching the dollars for 5 years. In addition, has been the league's legal chair since 1999. I'm confident that Tim Sands' previous accomplishments as a board member of the league office will definitely be an asset to the league's future development. So on behalf of my colleagues in the City Council, Tim, we wanted to give you a formal welcome into the ranks of the leadership of the Police Protective League. The union represents our dedicated men and women of the LAPD, and we are here supporting you and your endeavors and efforts to make it a better place for Los Angeles police officers. And I'm going to give you the microphone to introduce your fellow directors that are joining us this morning.
Dennis, thank you for this honor today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with this full council through the next following year. With me today is my fellow directors, Ray Espinoza on the right, Jack Cota directly behind me, and as you all probably know, Peter Repovich to my left. Again, Dennis, thank you, sir, for this honor. I look forward to working with you. My 10 years on the league, I've learned one thing. In order to solve issues and problems, you have to talk and you have to communicate. You have my commitment as president of this organization that that's the way we will do business and continue to do business with you. We might not agree on everything, but we will communicate and we'll talk. That's how we deal with the issues. So again, thank you all very much. and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We are now going to turn it back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Our next presentation by Council District 10. It's time for Mr. Wesson and our favorite activity on Fridays.
Thank you, Madam President and members. Today is my favorite Friday. It's Pet Adoption Friday. So I have before you a young fella in between 4 and 5 years old. He's a Cocker Spaniel mix. He has been patiently waiting in the back, anticipating that someone either watching us on television or someone that's here in the council chambers with us today will give him a home. He's got unconditional love, and he's just looking for somebody to give it to. I'm proud that in the few years that I've been here that we've had Pet Adoption Friday, that we have a 100% adoption rate. A 100% adoption rate, and I hope to keep that streak going. The majority of the dogs, believe it or not, or the animals have been adopted by individuals that are here or individuals that work for the city of Los Angeles. I ask you to please, if you're at home, you're watching this, you want a sweet puppy, to please call 888-452-7381. Again, 888-452-7381. We're doing the best that we can in this city to become a no-kill city where it relates to our animals that we have in our shelters. So I ask you to save Pedro's life. He is looking for a home, but we will not be able to keep him in the shelter forever. So if you have some love that you want to give, and again want unconditional love in return, let's give Pedro a home. And that number again is 888-452-7381. We will keep Pedro in the back for a little while just in case someone within the city family would like to come down, run down, and adopt him. Again, thank you, Madam President. Thank you, members. And let's save Pedro's life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wesson. All right, Mr. Clerk, I believe that's the end of our presentations this morning. I'd like to take up the commission appointments or reappointments next. And Ms. Gruhl has indicated that we could take both of them at the same time.
Item 2 is the reappointment of Mr. John Ferguson to the Board of Transportation Commissioners, and item 3 is the appointment of Ms. Kim Bronson to the Board of Taxicab Commissioners.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Frierson and Ms. Bronson to come to the table. Colleagues, both of these individuals, one is a new commissioner, one is a continuing commissioner, and Mr. Frierson, as you all know, was part of the Department of Transportation and one of the first traffic officers. The second? I said one of the first. The second, hired in the city of Los Angeles and has been an incredible activist on this issue, and we thank you for your years of service and your willingness to continue that, because you've been a commissioner since, I think, 2002. Also, a new appointment of Kim Patillo Bronson, who is going to the Board of Taxicab Commissioners. She shared with us in committee her experience and interest in addressing some issues. As I mentioned, both transportation is still the #1 issue in the city of Los Angeles, and the taxicab issue has become, I think, heightened awareness in the city of Los Angeles. So they have been here a long time. I know we've been in council a long time already. After those presentations, I'd like to ask everyone for an aye vote and to support these two really extraordinary commissioners.
Either one of you would like to speak? Mr. Frierson, maybe you should go first.
Yes, I enjoyed being on this commission, but I do want to bring out one thing for all the people around the desk, all the clerks, all the people that work for City Hall, that my wife is here with me today. She served 42 years with the library as a executive assistant for the library. 42 years, and I've spent 30 years. That means we have 72 years in the city. So it's something for all of you to think about, and just have to keep doing things for the city. And thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Kim Patillo Brownson, and I'd like to thank the City Council for considering my nomination to the Board of Taxi Cab Commissioners. I'd also like to say I consider it a great honor and privilege to be given the opportunity to serve the City of Los Angeles, which is my hometown. By way of background, I'm a Los Angeles native and a proud product of the LAUSD. I had the privilege of attending Harvard College and then Yale Law School, where I focused most of my studies on politics, economics, and civil rights law. During my time on the East Coast, first as a student, then as a management consultant, and then later as a corporate lawyer, I, like many others, used a combination of taxis, rail, and buses to meet our transportation needs. For example, while working at a law firm, I would commute to work every day by rail, then take a bus from the rail station, and in the evenings I would take a cab home to the rail station and then the rail again. I'm happy to report that this multimodal system worked quite well for me and the many other people who use this combination of transportation types to get to work, to school, to doctor's appointments, and wherever else people needed to go. In short, it was a user-friendly system that was integrated and that met people's everyday needs. As LA continues to develop increasingly dense neighborhoods with more people and less parking, there's a great opportunity, I believe, for the taxi industry to play a role in relieving congestion and providing transportation to the increasing number of people who either choose not to drive or cannot afford to do so, especially as we begin preparing for increasing rail usage and also experiencing increased bus usage. It seems critical that Angelenos understand that taxis can play a vital role in meeting their transportation needs. In terms of thinking about how to encourage increased taxi usage, I think our sister cities on the East Coast can provide us with models for growth, as well as ways to think about making it easier to hail a cab, to crack down on bandit cabs, and to think about ways to expand the geographic reach of the areas that cabs cover. And as we create a plan to grow this industry, we have the unique opportunity to improve passengers to service while also improving the financial returns for the taxi drivers and the companies who provide this valuable service. I can tell you that in my professional life as a public interest lawyer and formerly a management consultant in the private sector, I've always been a problem solver who's been committed to finding common ground and ensuring that we produce better outcomes. I look forward to my opportunity to apply this problem-solving skill set and very much look forward to the opportunity to serve the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gruhl?
I just wanted to say thank you to both of our commissioners.
Yeah, I got it.
And appreciate it and ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wesson?
Not that I want to prolong the process, but I feel compelled to rise just to say a few quick things. Thing number one, I want everybody here to know that we still have our 100% adoption rate. Pedro has already been adopted. But give him a mercy applause. A poor dog, he'll appreciate it. But when I first, thank you in the back, when I first got involved in politics, the first campaign I ever worked on, I reported to John Frierson. So he is a good man that I've known most of my adult life. And when I was Speaker of the House, he was my boxing commissioner. And Kim, this young lady, interned for me, with me, in 1993, where I've always had interns, but as soon as I met her, I told the other staff people that this young lady is a definite winner and will go somewhere. So she went from high school, Mr. Labange, Laces High School in the great 10th District, always in the top 50 schools in the nation, from there to Harvard, then to Yale. She's returned to the 10th District where she's going to serve the people where she grew up. And I want to meet your husband. I want to make sure he's okay. I got to check you out. Anyway, I ask for a unanimous aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson. Mr. Zine?
Thank you. And good morning to you both. Transportation, huge problem in Los Angeles. The commute's getting longer and longer. People are leaving earlier and earlier. There's been some national reports about people leaving home at 5 a.m. Next year it'll be 4 a.m. Next year it'll be 3 a.m. They won't go home, they'll just stay at work. Transportation in LA is a tremendous problem. We need to somehow address it. The other aspect that we have, and I come from a traffic background with the police department, is the taxis. The taxi operations, which have been horrendous with the bandit taxi cabs. I know we've got some programs working toward the elimination of the bandit taxi cabs here in Los Angeles. You go to other parts of the country, they do not have bandit taxi cabs. Here we have so many bandit taxi cabs, they're putting the legitimate cab drivers out of business. So I just bring that to your attention. I've worked with the investigators from the department before, Department of Transportation, the investigators, dedicated people. They don't have all the equipment, the resources they need. But if you can just focus on that from the Taxi Commission, and as far as transportation, John, you got yourself a task, and I know you've been there very dedicated performing those duties. But together, between those two entities, transportation, taxi, mobility of the people of Los Angeles, we really need to be serious in addressing the problems and eliminating those problems for the benefit of the people of Los Angeles. So I congratulate you both. John, I know you're a retread, as we say, coming back again, and you've done well with it, and those challenges continue to exist, and we continue to try and make them better. And to our new member, former intern from my wonderful colleague, Herb Wesson, welcome to the City Commission. It's a prestige position, and there's a lot of responsibility, and from what I've heard, you're well qualified to assume that position. So congratulations to you both. You got my support. And just keep those ideas in mind that, like everyone else, we're frustrated in traffic. People think that elected officials, we fly into our events, we fly to City Hall, we fight the same gridlock that everyone else, and I'm sure you both have the same situation. So keep that in mind, and good luck to you in your future endeavors. Thank you. John, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nothing said is better said, right?
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Time. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you. I'll be quick, but I certainly just want to rise and certainly thank both of you for agreeing to serve. Kim, I'm not as familiar with you as I am John, but you're being appointed to the Taxi Cab Commission, and I've been spending a lot of time with our taxi cab drivers. There are a lot of issues out at the airport. There's really a lot of basic issues about working conditions and wages, and I just think one of the things we sometimes forget about, sometimes they're easy to bash, but I think our taxi cab drivers are really out there on the front lines, welcoming people to Los Angeles, giving an impression of Los Angeles. I think anytime any of us travel anywhere, it's the taxi cab driver that you either bond with or you ask them questions about things happening in LA. So I just want you to know that things that I care about are, particularly around the airport, are making sure that they're treated fairly, that they have dignity and respect in their job, and some of the conditions and issues which they've brought up that I know Councilmember Gruhl is also working on, that we really kind of bring those to fruition and make sure that we have accountability and transparency, but also that we really begin to give them, I think, the respect that they have not gotten up to this point. And John, I like Herb, have known you for a long time, and you're truly a man of integrity. You have great respect from so many walks of life, and I think the mayor made a great choice choosing you to serve on the Transportation Commission. Transportation is at the forefront of everybody's thinking right now. I think it's gang violence and traffic that most people in Los Angeles have put at the forefront of things that they are most concerned about. So you're in a great position working with certainly the Chair of Transportation, Councilmember Gruhl, to really begin to help us solve some of these problems that have been plaguing Angelenos for a long time. But I have the greatest respect for you, John, and thank you for, with everything else you're doing, you have such a full plate in so many other areas. Really do respect you for being a true public servant by serving on this, I think it's a difficult commission. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, and I too rise in support of both of these individuals. I know them both as well. So, John, I want to thank thank you for your service that you've already provided in so many different ways, but we're focused today on transportation, so I appreciate the way that the Commission has really invited us to collaborate, and it was one of the great joys of actually coming to the Commission and being able to speak with you as equals and talk about what the Council was looking to do and what we wanted the Commission to be able to do. Just one note on that, the more focus we can have on changing that conversation, that transit-oriented development is not about everybody never using their cars. It's about transportation, is about people being able to walk once or twice a week in their neighborhood. It's about maybe getting on a bus to go to the supermarket or something else. If we get a few people out of their cars a few times during the week, that's a huge relief and a much cheaper option than billions of dollars of infrastructure. So I really appreciate what you've been doing there. And one last note, in Hollywood, we're really trying to move very aggressively this coming year, both in looking at the Hollywood and Highland Garage and the Hollywood area to do a parking district, where really I think we could be a great public-private partnership. People can't find parking spaces in Hollywood, but there are thousands of parking spaces at any given time not being used. In the daytime, it's those night parking lots that nobody uses, and in the nighttime, it's the daytime buildings that are vacant. As Old Town Pasadena has done, a combination of public and private, maybe some signs like they do in Europe that when you drive into the neighborhood say 200 spaces in this building, 100 down there. That's how we're going to be able to manage without having to build more. We often don't look at changing our own personal behavior as a cheaper way than the infrastructure. And right next to the Montalban Theater, what used to be the Doolittle, we're very anxious to move on building that parking structure, though, which I know the department is as well. So we're looking forward to working with you on that. And Kim, appreciate the great work you've done in the civil rights field and in a number of progressive areas. And I think this council has spoken very forcefully about trying to bring the taxi cab industry into the 21st century. I know that we're behind you. We want to work with our partners, the taxi cab companies, but we also want an equal seat at the table for those employees that are there, and appreciate the work that you've done. And in places like Hollywood and elsewhere, it's still too difficult, and this is where the two of your work merges, to get a taxi. We limit where that can happen. We limit how it can happen. Part of getting people out of owning a car and always getting into it is making taxis work in this town again. And whenever visitors come here, we all hear it. And it's not on the taxi companies or the drivers so much as how we structure the regulations for them that we really can make that part of the transportation solution. So thanks for bearing with my speech. You obviously have my full support, and I think it's fabulous you're renominated and that you've been nominated.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Rosendahl, and then Mr. Labange.
Just a quick comment. First of all, John, you are a constituent in Playa del Rey, and for the record, I don't know if everybody knows this, that you've worked with the LAPD and Sheriff's Office for 25 years, also for DOT. You've been a field deputy to Nate Holden when he was a member of the City Council. You're an executive board member of the California Democratic Party and local Democratic Party groups. I've seen you at many events demonstrating your commitment to the democracy. You're a member of the Law Enforcement Advisory Group, and you're active in the African American community. And for both Kim and for John, just a quick hard question. John, you live on the West Side. How can we address the gridlock that we now have on the West Side?
Okay. On the West Side, I think we're implementing, I hope so, that we're implementing staggered lights, getting the lights staggered. I'm born and raised in New York City, and I could go from where I lived in Harlem from 145th Street to 59th Street if I go at a certain speed, I can get right down there within minutes. And that's one of the big problems. I've addressed your council people, I've talked to Herb's council people and Bernard Park's council people about some certain areas where if we have some of the engineers go out and take a look at some of these lights, they could actually have this thing moving. Like the same thing like I've done, put up lights, like I told you before, at Sepulveda Way in Manchester, where we had fatalities. Right. Well, I pushed and pushed until we got lights up there, and all the people that's in that market, that little mini mart, they're really happy about it. So those are some of the things I try to do.
And we like you doing that because, frankly, you know, I found $11 million in development pots, and we're pushing that money to DOT to synchronize the lights, to do left-hand turn signals, and to do a lot of that. But your leadership's been very helpful. And Kim, welcome to this process. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and I know with both of your leadership, we'll make progress on it. Obviously, everybody here supports you coming back and you joining the commission. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. And commissioners, both on the taxi side, I think trying to evolve that. One thing I haven't got across that I'd love to see us have is called red card taxis along the red line. There would be taxis that would only operate within a mile or 2-mile radius. So if, let's say, we got off the Sunset in Vermont, we could jump in a taxi and for $1 or $2 have some kind of jitney that just served the area, that connected to the subway. And I think Mr. Garcetti made a great point about location of taxi cab stands. I know they always kind of fight and struggle, but I think we should identify it, and we should try to find some other public works money to beautify the area to enhance that situation. So I appreciate your work on that, and I will be calling on your commission. It's one of my goals to try to elevate that concept and idea. And John, I think I knew you when you worked at Wilshire and worked with the police department before DOT and everything there. So you bring expertise that I'm sure helps that commission make the right deliberation. So I thank you for your service. And next to our public safety and the challenges of alienation and gang problems, traffic is the thing that upsets the people the most. And just recently this week in the paper, there were a lot of road rage incidents, not just in our city, but in the county. And we should look to that issue with great focus. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange, and there are no further speakers in the queue, so Mr. Clerk, if you would please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote. 12 ayes. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item.
I believe there's a request to take item 22 out of order by Councilmember Gruhl.
Yes,
Thank you. Again, even though there was a public hearing set for Plum Committee, let's just have a 5-minute public hearing on this item.
All right.
I think all the speakers are together so they can determine under the 5 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl. What I will do in the interest of time so that the speakers can maximize their 5 minutes is I'll call everybody's name and you can line up at the podium and then we'll start to run the clock at 5 minutes. Alan Martia, Elia Thompson, Rob Sweeney, and Travis Cullen. Derek Jones. If you would all come up to the podium. And when you each speak, please identify yourselves for the record. And again, you have a 5-minute hearing. Okay. Is everybody up here now? Great.
I believe we are. And Ms. Perry, just to clarify, we have 5 minutes total?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
Good morning. My name is Elia Thompson. I'm with Jeffrey Mangels, Butler and Marlboro, for the record, 1900 Avenue of the Stars, Los Angeles. Thanks very much for giving us the opportunity to speak today. Really appreciate it. I'm joined by both my colleague, Derek Jones, who's also an attorney, as well as the developer and several consultants that we have hired over the past few years to look at this property. Just quickly, I want to clarify that my client, the owners, own approximately 125 acres of land that will be profoundly affected by the above referenced general plan amendment. Our client's assemblage is identified as Subarea C in the recommendation report. Our client has filed an application and has spent 3 years doing all of the environmental studies and the work on this property. Their goal of the 125 acres is to build 268 home sites on 83 of the relatively flat acres that are directly across the highway from the Tahunga Wash, and use the other 42 acres, preserve them as open space. I want to quickly clarify some misrepresentations that have been made about this property. Among them It's been stated that this property is pristine open space. I need to make very clear this is not pristine open space. This has been used as a junkyard for automobiles and scrap metal. As a matter of fact, our client took out several truckloads of scrap metal, debris. We have submitted both a letter along with exhibits. You can see pictures of this area, and you can see for yourself what this property looked like. And as a matter of fact, our client intends on spending a great deal of money re-landscaping and putting in various vegetation throughout the area, but most especially those 42 acres that will be used as open space. Finally, this area is not in a hillside development. It's the mostly flat part of the valley floor. This development project will be practically invisible from any other place other than 4 private home sites to the south and a sliver, i.e. just a couple of seconds of drive time on Big Tujunga Highway. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the owner of the property.
My name is Alan Martia. I feel that the city in this case for this piece of property is losing a great opportunity. I sat here and listened to transportation problems, housing problems in the city, and here's a unique project, a unique property to give the city exactly what they've been talking about for years. We have the ability to supply affordable housing. We have the ability to develop a green project, exactly what the city's been talking about, and by reducing the density through this action, it's greatly going to hurt everything that this city has been standing for, that I've been listening to for years by every single one of these council members. They support green, they support affordable housing, but yet won't give us the opportunity to give the city exactly what they want. I'll give the rest of my time to Derek.
Thanks, Alan. Derek Jones, also with Jeffrey Mangles. One of the things that concerns us about the proposed general plan amendment is the degree to which it has been processed as a categorical exemption from CEQA. We're concerned that that is not appropriate to the extent that the city has failed to analyze the potential environmental impacts of this project, specifically with respect to the city's ability to house an expanding population. Population housing are issues that are specifically contemplated by both the state CEQA guidelines and the city CEQA guidelines, and it seems like a categorical exemption here is not appropriate insofar as the department is pursuing a very dramatic reduction in the allowable density of the development. Just to be clear, as compared with the 268-unit project that was proposed by this client, Katie Partners and Coach 20, the general plan amendment would result in a maximum density in that same 83-acre flat part of the site, a maximum density of roughly 90 homes. So we're talking about a significant decrease in the ability of this region to absorb an expanding population. Similarly, the state planning and zoning law requires that the city make specific findings supported by substantial evidence that this reduction in density is consistent with the adopted general plan, and that remaining sites that are identified in the city's housing element, which is of course being updated as we speak, is adequate to accommodate the city's share of the regional housing need. We believe that those findings have not been made. We believe those findings cannot be made, and as a result, that the adoption of this plan amendment would violate the state planning and zoning law as well as objectives and policies that are articulated in the city's housing element. I do appreciate your attention. We do have an environmental consultant with us today, as well as some folks that are very intimately familiar with the physical traits of this property in the event that you have questions.
Thank you very much, sir. And that closes the public hearing. Thank you so much, Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, and I'd like the city staff just to come to the table. And real briefly, colleagues, this is a GPA, General Plan Amendment, that I introduced over 2 years ago, where we noticed and I would beg to differ, that this is a very pristine area up in the Big Tujunga Canyon, where the general plan, land use designation, and the zone were inconsistent, very inconsistent. And in fact, the plan designation was low residential while the zone was A1. The zone would have allowed 25 lots to be created in this area, and by contrast, the general plan would allow up to 1,000 lots. It was very inconsistent, and we went to the planning department and asked for advice and counsel as we moved forward on this. And we looked at and saw nearby properties that also had inconsistencies that were deeply concerning to me. We created this motion to amend the general plan by changing the land use designations for all three areas to be consistent with the underlying zones. And the general plan amendment that is before us today is a result of that motion. You are all very familiar with what we've been trying to do in the Verdugo Mountains and all of that, and trying to preserve some of those areas, and particularly to ensure that we are following the rules and to be able to balance those inconsistencies that exist there. It has not been a secret that we've been on this general plan amendment for 2 years. It's my understanding that an application was just filed on Tuesday, at the day that it was before the Plum hearing, and I feel very confident. I just want to ask very briefly of the colleagues here from the City Attorney's Office and from the Planning Department that you have read the letter from Jeffrey Mangels and the comments here today, that you feel confident in our position and ability. And just one last thing, if you've ever driven up there, which I have on numerous occasions, it's a 2-lane road up there which was washed out up in the unincorporated county area during the floods and so forth. That's part of our consideration as we look at this property. Do you want to add anything to that?
Daniel Scott, Department of City Planning. Currently, the zoning is not consistent with the general plan, and this action, a general plan amendment to minimum density residential, makes the community plan consistent with the existing zoning of A1. To speak to the categorical exemption, Article 3, Section 1, Class 5, Category 12 is the exemption that the Planning Department uses for general plan amendments.
Can you imagine that many homes up there?
Terry Kaufman, Macias City Attorney's Office. I don't have anything to add to Dan's comments. The only other thing in the letter is the government code section that was cited there, and I don't see that as applicable here.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I would ask my colleagues to have an aye vote on the general plan amendment before us today. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl. Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Item 10 was called special by Councilmember Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk, and it gives me great pleasure to first recognize the Assistant President Pro Tem, Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In the interest of helping my colleague get his comments on the record, because he has to make another meeting, Mr. Huizar, if you would allow him to go first and I can speak after he does, I would appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Perry. I am excused to leave at noon to attend an event here, but I wanted to stand up and express my support for this project moving forward. This project involves the renovation and rehabilitation of the Roslyn Hotel, which is in CD9, but not too far away from there. The same developer has worked at the Alexandria Hotel, and as many of you know, there's been many attempts to rehabilitate the Alexandria Hotel, which has been in slum conditions for many decades, and the Amerlin Group stepped in, contrary to what many thought would be yet another failure. It had dropped out of escrow many a times, and just giving them many difficult the situation they would find, and many expected the Amerlin Group to fail again. At first, I was quite suspect as well. I worked with local residents when I was first elected, and Amerlin Group was working to rehabilitate the project. However, I found that they have been transparent. They have been cooperative, and in fact, they're working on a project to provide much-needed affordable housing in an area that's going tremendous transformation that we are now finding luxury market rates for many of the new units that are going up. So colleagues, this is not in my district. It's just right outside of my district, but I did want to just let you know that my work with Amerlin Group has been good. There's been lots of allegations against them and what they have encountered at the Alexandria Hotel. but I have found them to be someone whose heart is in the right place, and they're doing what is necessary to provide a safe, clean, and affordable place for many of these folks to live there. So I hope and safe. So I hope you could support this. The Roslyn is in practically the same condition as the Alexandria was not too long ago, and hopefully we could move forward to provide the types of housing we would like to see in downtown and the mixed type of housing we would like to see. So thank you, Ms. Perry, for your indulgence and allowing me to speak first on this item. I do have to run, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Maybe it would be more efficient if I make the request now to allow each side 10 minutes. And may I just make a very quick statement right now?
Absolutely, sure.
And if you wouldn't mind clearing my time so I guess I didn't stop the clock, I'm sorry. I also, and I appreciate Mr. Huizar saying that on the record. I want to say also for the record, I fully support an $8 million loan to rehabilitate the Frontier Hotel to a mixed-income, mixed-use development proposed as the Roslyn Lofts. The ground floor retail will be neighborhood serving, and the developer has indicated a strong desire to work with the existing gallery tenants to help maintain the momentum of Gallery Row. The residential portion of this project is comprised of 259 affordable units and 38 market rate units. Specifically, units on floors 10 through 12 will be market rate, and units on floors 3 through 9 will be covenanted affordable units for people qualifying between 35% to 60% of the area's median income. 87 of these units will be at 35% AMI. The affordable units will include a kitchenette and bathroom. The project is a good model of creating a mixed income community that fully integrates market rate housing with affordable housing. Promoting mixed income communities is one of the best ways to ensure the viability of the community. As you already know, downtown has the largest stock of residential hotels in the city, and to that end, I did author an interim control ordinance to prevent the loss of very low income housing in the residential hotels in downtown and throughout the entire city of Los Angeles. Downtown has responded to the need of affordable housing by building more than 5,000 units over the past 15 years with the help of the redevelopment agency. The City of Los Angeles Housing Department Permanent Supportive Housing Trust Fund has provided us with a model for housing the chronically homeless and people with disabilities. This program is successful, and with it we have rehabilitated the St. George, built the Rainbow Project, just to give a few examples. We have also added the Yankee, the Eugene, Brownstone hotels in the last 5 years. I now have 750 units of permanent supportive housing for people living at the 35% AMI in the pipeline. All of these projects have site control and are currently in the entitlement process. The Roslyn Loft project will add an additional 259 units of affordable housing. It's important to look at this project as part of a much larger picture. We need projects that are economically viable. We need projects that will contribute affordable housing for people living at 60% and below AMI. Permanent supportive housing requires operating subsidies, and those are extremely hard to get given the limitations of the housing authority in our city. Operating subsidies include project-based and tenant-based Section 8 and Shelter Plus care. We need these for our permanent supportive housing program. The project before you today is a small part of a much larger affordable housing picture. I know more than anyone that this housing works and can be made to work next to market rate development. The Downtown Women's Center is a perfect example of that. Rehabilitating hotels is extremely difficult when people are still living there. Unlike the Alexandria, the Frontier Hotel is vacant except for the top 3 floors where the rehabilitation work has already been completed. So know that it's a challenge to bring these hotels up to current living standards, and so I'm glad we have the ability today to support this great development, and I ask my colleagues for their support. And Mr. President, if you will allow each side 10 minutes, even though we've had extensive public hearings, I would appreciate your allowing people to speak one more time on the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Without objection, I'd like to send items 4, 5, and 6 forthwith. Seeing none, we will send those forthwith. And we will go 10 minutes on each side. What we'll do is we'll set the clock for a minute to try to get as many people as possible. I believe one, if not both of the sides, has a few more than 10 cards, or maybe just about 10 cards. That'll afford a way to try to get everybody, because I know y'all have been very patient. So we'll start 1 minute on the against side, Bilal Ali. After Mr. Ali will be Lois Rafti. If you'd like to come forward as well. And after that will be Spartacus Cacao. Okay? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Bilal Ali. I work and I was a resident of the downtown area. I'm now over in the MacArthur Park area. I work as a community organizer around the Rosslyn and Frontier Hotel in some aspects with the Alexandria and with the tenants. I'm somewhat dismayed. I'm hearing all these glowing accolades about this project, and it's funny that tenants that lived in these hotels for years who suffered abuse, suffered illegal business practices and shady, nefarious dealings, and when they weren't even on the radar with this council. I just dismayed. I see you're giving this bailout to one of the biggest slumlords in Los Angeles. You're bailing them out, and that you're sending a message that basically the wrongdoers. I mean, this man, one of these people are currently under criminal investigation for their business dealings. And this city council is bailing them out. So you're sending a message to people that the wrongdoers can be rewarded, and they will be rewarded. And those who really need housing and were victims of this abuse by these one the landlord and this other so-called developer. Thank you, Mr. You send a message that those who have been suffering for so long have been sentenced to capital punishment. In other words, if they don't possess the clout and the capital, you're punishing them. And that's the message you'll be sending out today.
Louis Rafti is our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Louis Rafti. I'm an attorney with the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles. My area of practice is Skid Row, and I specialize in areas of law that affect low-income people and especially housing. I first started doing a clinic downtown, and most of the people who came into the clinic had problems with evictions from the Alexandria. This surprised me because the Alexandria is a nonprofit housing provider providing affordable housing. We did some investigation, found that there have been nearly 100 evictions. I also do work with disability and mental health providers downtown, specifically LAMP, Los Angeles Men's Place, who is a provider who provided services to the person who Steve Lopez wrote about. Many of those persons evicted and now no longer resident were disabled mental health patients of LAMP. This raised the presumption of disability. Those persons were priorly given reasonable accommodation and, in effect, affordable housing. They're no longer housed. So there's two reasons why I urge the Council to be cautious. First, the presumptions of discrimination, and second is the $8 million figure, because originally the CRA staff advised it should only be $4 million because this amount is being used to buy down the affordability. The other $4 million is for building infrastructure that, according to CRA Commissioner Ling, should come off the purchase price.
The next speaker
that
is
burden
Spartacus
should be
Cacao.
carried by the former owner, not the city.
I'm sorry, sir. And if I could give a friendly, just for everybody, if you can watch that clock, it's a minute. I'm trying to get as many people in as possible, but we have to try to be as fair as possible. I'll be doing it on both sides. So Spartacus Cacao. If you have anything written, it's well over a minute, but if you have anything written, we will look at that, so feel free to give it to the Sergeant at Arms. Spartacus Cacao is our next speaker, and then Yvonne Michelle Autry will follow.
Thank you, Antonio Viragosa, Jan Perry, President Eric Garcia, and Rosalind Lost Housing Partners. We represent the decision of 9th District. The dwelling owner is really doing us a disservice. He is taking $8 million from the city to turn the Rosalind into some kind of high-priced home. Some poor people don't enter zone. Mr. Owner, this is Skid Row, don't you know? Can you remember any of the residents you rented to under Section 8? You and the city have lost. Don't you care anymore about us? Us, the veterans, the disabled people, the low-wage workers, the pension holders, people on general relief? We are here to say, stop displacing us. Stop not renting to us.
Thank you. Leonard Woods? Is Spartacus Cacao here? Or did he leave?
You get hand mic.
Okay, well, we'll get you a hand mic, sir. Just hold on one sec. We have a microphone you can use here. After Mr. Woods will be Al Sabo, and after that will be Becky Dennison.
Good morning. My name is Leonard Woods. I've lived at the Alexandria for 10 years. I have been hassled, harassed. I've had 10 police to come to my door to tell me that I'm not supposed to use the elevator where my car is parked at. They refused to accept my rent. They didn't give me my key to my mailbox. I had to hire an attorney to try to get my mailbox key. And Miss Perry, I would like to tell you, when you was at the CRA the last week, you should have came over there and asked us about the problem that we was having at the Alexandria. You was there the whole day long. You waved at me, miss. That is very bad.
Excuse
These
me.
people trying to 86 me out the building.
Excuse me. You should direct your comments to the council as a
Okay,
whole.
I'm sorry, but it's just that this whole thing is a mess here. You don't even have money in the budget to have the police come out for a false alarm on an ADT alarm. But they sent 10 police to my house. I'm not being accommodated. They holding my recertification hostage. I have to waive my rights away to my units in order for me to be recertified. These people are playing dirty ball.
Thank you very much, sir. Al Sabo is our next speaker.
Hello. Hello, my name is Al Sabo. I'm a resident of downtown Los Angeles. It seems rather ironic to me that Council Member Perry should suggest about her great accomplishments with the Yankee and the other SRO hotels in the area, when at one time an SRO was interested in purchasing the Frontier Hotel, but yet this council decided that there was not money available. As soon as a business developer from San Diego with somewhat of a shaky reputation wants money for this project, all of a sudden he's afforded all the money he can get, putting no money of his own, only taxpayer money, which is tax-free or interest-free to him, to evict basically at least 50% or more of Jan Perry's basic constituency. We're all on fixed income. We fall at or below the poverty line. We don't qualify for those affordable housing units, or at least so-called affordable
Thank you, Mr.
housing.
Sabo. Our next speaker is Becky Dennison, and after that is Hilda Quintana.
I want to express the extreme opposition of the Los Angeles Community Action Network to this loan. This loan does not follow any of the city's guidelines. It does not meet the CRA underwriting guidelines. This developer has numerous open complaints for illegal eviction, illegal relocation, race and disability discrimination, which is documented at the CRA. We're not supposed to give money to folks with open and serious documented complaints. I also want to say that you guys are in the process of suing the current owner of the Frontier. This city is suing the owner. That owner is going to owe former tenants relocation money for illegally emptying the building. There were 400 tenants in there. At about $10,000 a head, that's the exact $4 million that you're paying in this purchase price for this building. So you are paying for the old owner's problems, and that means that tenants are losing, you're losing, and you guys owe us more than that.
Hilda Quintana.
My name is Hilda Quintana, and I'm glad they honored American Indians today for the first time. I'm glad. Thank you. And I'm just pissed off because they throwed my stuff from 924 to 923, and I've been living like, my room's a mess. They just came and I think that's wrong. I never got a subpoena or nothing. And I want something done about that. Thank you.
William Caldwell is next. William Caldwell.
Yes. My name is William Caldwell. I live at the Alexander, and I live in a poor conditioned room right now that is too small and too adequate for my living condition where I'm living at. I used to have a nice, decent room, 6 for I-2, and they put me in 929, and it's a very small room. I'm having to sleep on the floor, and I'm paying rent to a room that I can't even go to. But my back is very sore from sleeping on the floor, and I need to, be able to have a better room than when I'm sleeping into my room is relocated or refixed. Right now, where I'm sleeping at is too cramped and too small. And I need to, when y'all gonna help us, get low-income housing back? Because right now we can't afford where y'all have the rate at now. We need low-income housing. Because y'all fund it or something.
Thank you. John Maldonado will be our last speaker on the against side.
Hello, I've been a resident of the downtown area since 2002, so I'm one of the people that actually lives there. A couple of weeks ago, we went to a CR meeting in which they were trying to get $8 million from the CRA. At the time, the Amberlin president that sat there and told the CRA council or board that the water problem had been fixed and it was turned on the day before, when in fact the water had been off for 3 days and was still off and never got turned back on until 11:30 p.m. that night. And reality and the fact, the only reason the water ever was turned back on was that we had a CRA council member go over to the building and physically look and inspect and speak to the residents that lived there. He found out that the water was not on. They had no toilets, they had no drinking water, they had to go blocks to use a restroom. And then, while he was there, they had people scrambling around trying to figure out who this guy was in the suit and tie, running up and down, trying to stop him from speaking to the residents. And then they had a truck bring porta potties about 7 o'clock that evening.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Maldonado.
The only reason anything got done is because he was there.
Thank you. That's about 45 seconds over the 10 minutes for that side. I'd like to read into the record the names of Gary Jackson and General Dogon were also here. And I will move to the for side, and our first speaker will be Andorra Ward.
Hello there, my name is Gary Jackson. I used to be a former resident at the Frontier Hotel, and the owner, he's not really taking care of business. I was forced to move.
I'm sorry,
across
Mr.
the
Jackson.
street.
We promised just 10 minutes per side, so I was reading those names to make sure that your name was in the record, but we promised equal time for both sides, so I got to move to the other side now, because we're over 10 minutes, which is what we promised. I said I'd get to as many people as possible, so my apologies, but that's the last speaker for the against side. Okay? Thank you. Andorra Ward will be our first speaker on the next side.
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the management for the Alexander, and as far as I'm concerned, the changes are well needed, and it's about time. I mean, the kitchens and the changes that they're made is good. I mean, yes, inconvenience, yes, a pain in the butt, but those are the things you have to go through to get things done. I mean, this is what you have to go through. It only hurts for a minute. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Wood Melendez will be our next speaker, and then Tom Gilmore.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Wood Melendez, and I wanted to say that we are being treated very fairly in the hotel, even though that the owners are new. We only have them for a year, and we are trying to get everything repaired. And they have been saying a lot of things that are not true. Nobody is abusing. I'm a woman alone. I'm handicapped. And I have not been abused. Nobody has been tried to be evicted, because if you're evicted, it's because you're not paying the rent, or you put the music or the television very loud, you're bothering other neighbors up to a point that your room vibrates. And about the water is usually turned once a week. One time it wasn't turned at all, and it's to turn off around 9 o'clock in the morning. One day it wasn't turned until 11.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it's no discrimination.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Tom Gilmore, is he here? Not Kathy Thompson? Is Kathy Thompson here? Yep. And then after that will be Veronica Perez-Becker.
My name is Kathy Thompson. I live at the Alexandra. It's nice. My name is Kathy. I live at the Alexandria Hotel. It's cool. The manager is nice.
Thank you. Veronica Perez-Becker, then Lance McKay, and then Don Garza.
Good afternoon, Veronica Perez-Becker with the Central City Association. CCA supports Amerlin Group's efforts to rehabilitate the Alexandria and Frontier hotels for mixed-income housing, including low-income housing. Combined, the projects will offer hundreds of units of affordable housing in a sustainable mixed-income building. Amerlin will add a kitchenette and a bathroom to each unit so that residents can live in the dignity that they deserve. These hotels were built in the early 1900s and have not seen renovations or improvements for decades. Rather than relocating tenants, Amerlin has minimized impact on residents' lives by completing these improvements in an in-place rehab while at the same time restoring these historic buildings. Amerlin Group is a trailblazer in its endeavor to rehabilitate old dilapidated buildings and turn them into modern residential units for all income levels, and we hope that you support this project. Thank you.
Our next speaker is, it's Lance McKay, and then Don Garza.
Hello, my name is Lance McKay. My wife, who is disabled and bedridden, and I have been residents of the Alexandria apartment for quite a number of years. Right now, all I can say is that the time will come, and very, very soon, we're looking at one of the waves of the future in the new Los Angeles, and I'm not exaggerating. My wife, the group has helped her from one room to the room that was redone. We have kitchenettes. It didn't start this way several years ago. But all I can say is I appreciate the help that my wife has had and I have had, and we're looking forward to maybe living the rest of our lives here. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Garza will be our last speaker.
I can understand the issues that some of these tenants have at the Alexandria, but I'm speaking on the other side. I also understand that SRO means SRO. So a gentleman says he's married, and how's he supposed to be with his wife? Many of these tenants that live alone probably would qualify to move into SRO. They would, because they do build low-income housing, not just special needs housing. Amerlin is actually a wonderful idea as far as meeting the middle ground as far as workforce housing. I think it's time that maybe SRO-type housing expanded into another sort of SRO-type housing other than just for single people. It could evolve. CRA could come up with a new idea for low-income housing for people in Skid Row and those areas. I think that's something Ms. Perry should look at and the CRA should look at. But I support Amerlin in their efforts to meet this middle ground. It's about time that the Frontier get taken over by this organization that will provide affordable, for-profit, low-income housing.
Thank you. That will close our public comment on this. Our next speaker is Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Council President Garcetti. I happen to have personally walked through the Alexandria up and down more than once. I happen to be aware of this particular developer who is from San Diego and is looking to do business here in the city of Los Angeles and provide affordable housing to many, many people in many different ways. And I'm here to tell you that from my personal awareness of this situation, when it comes to this owner and developer, they are in fact responsible. I have visited some of their facilities, sometimes unbeknownst to them, and walked the grounds and looked at and listened to what's going on and talked to the people, and they are a very responsible owner and property manager. In addition to that, I think it's important for people to understand that what's going on in the Alexandria, which coincidentally isn't even the issue or the item on the agenda, but the Alexandria is a building that's over 100 years old. A building that was dilapidated and neglected for decades. And yet hundreds of people live in this building, and this business owner, this property owner is trying to rehabilitate this thing completely from top to bottom while people are living there. Well, I ask you, colleagues, how many times have you ever had someone work on your home or your residence, whether it's fixing a bathroom or a kitchen or a roof or what have you, and you were inconvenienced? Multiply that task by hundreds. Of course there's going to be inconvenience. But with all due respect, I do not think that what's going on in the Alexandria, as far as the rehabilitation of that facility, and the fact that the City of Los Angeles has people on the payroll of the City of Los Angeles, from CRA, from Housing, from Department of Building and Safety, crawling around that building all the time. They came to the CRA to present their findings of what's going on in that building on a day-to-day basis, and by and large, they have said, yes, we've had complaints, but the owner is complying to the best of their ability and following the guidelines of the City of Los Angeles. So the bottom line is, I respect the fact that people feel inconvenienced, they feel upset. A man here in a wheelchair said in front of the CRA board, and I watched it twice on TV as well as being there personally, it says, well, the owner got upset when he found out that I'm occupying 3 units. I don't understand the relevancy of the item that's on the agenda today. But I do see agendas, and one thing I'd like to say to LA Can, please stop using these tenants for your well-intended agenda but misguided energy. Please, please stop using these tenants.
Anybody else from the council wish to be heard on this? If not, Madam Clerk, if you please open the roll on this matter. Close the roll and tabulate the vote. If we could please have order in the chambers.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time?
Yes, I would like to take a public comment. Arnold Sachs is our first speaker for general public comment.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's really kind of amazing that you should be talking about a couple of things that I really want to talk about public comment. It turns out housing and transportation took the main floor of the issues. What brings me here today is some articles in the newspaper regarding LAX. LAX, a proprietary department, is referred to from the Budget and Finance Committee agenda. On the 23rd of August, Daily Breeze reported that LAX is receiving, LAWA is going to be required to pay $700 million to soundproof local areas, local community, for soundproofing in the local communities surrounding LAX. Right now, City Council green-lighted $723 million for the Tom Bradley renovation. They also green-lighted $1.2 billion for the midfield concourse facilities. Yet, going to the committee meetings, you hear from the council members who sit on the committees how irresponsible management is at LAWA. Yet LAWA has got over $2 billion in funding from the city to build 2 projects. None of it for transportation, none of it for housing. How has the cash-starved city of LA managed to fund $2 billion in projects for LAWA? Through bonds. Why can't the city, through some financial planning, issue bonds for transportation? The Expo line, $600 million. 1/10 of less money than what's going to be spent on renovations for the Tom Bradley building. Can't they find the money to go to Santa Monica? The Green Line, less mileage than the Expo line. No money available. If you can't do the job, let's bring the LAWA commissioners into City Council.
Thank you, sir.
They were able to get $2 billion from the city, even though they run a poorly managed department. Thank you very much.
Glenn Hopkins is our next speaker. After Mr. Hopkins is Peter Tatum.
Thank you. Good morning.
You will recall my letter to all of you on the City Council commending Tom Bradley, who went beyond his duty as mayor to make the miracle of Nelson Mandela coming out of jail and being elected president of that country. Tom Bradley, behind the scenes, did that. And we're asking you to do this kind of thing, too. It's true to her mafia family roots. Nancy Pelosi is insisting that the lawlessness of this cheating, lying, murdering Bush regime be cemented over. And we preoccupy ourselves with an election that's over a year away. I suggest we follow Barbara Boxer, who says impeachment should be on the table again. The sooner this council resolves to encourage impeachment, I know it's the congressional duty, but you are our city, you are our city council. We come to you as a first place to do this, to resolve this way and move it on. If Salt Lake City can resolve to impeach, certainly Los Angeles can resolve to impeach. And the sooner we can do that, the sooner we can leave you to proper city business. I'm humbled to be here talking about this with these other issues that are far more city relevant. We want to focus on Congress. Do you stand, do the members of this council stand for lawlessness or not? Whether you encourage the continuance of this illegal regime or vote to move it out, vote to investigate moving it out, is your biggest decision in your life, probably. The war, 9/11, all of it, it's all related. We say to the public, the president is dumb, the vice president is evil. They smile and they take a paper. So I hope you'll work on that.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. Our next speaker is Peter Totham. After that is Bruce McCormick.
Thank you, Eric. We were here about 4 weeks ago, 45 of us, 22 Los Angelinos gave public comments as to why they wanted the city of LA to entertain and to co-sponsor with Bill Rosendahl an impeachment resolution. We have sent over 1,000 postcards and letters to this city council explaining why this is a local issue. There are 386 Los Angelinos who have died in this war, 386, over 100 of whom come from Los Angeles County. The war has cost the 5-county area around Los Angeles $17 billion, $57 billion for the state. When I spoke to you last week, I had 2,200 signatures. We are now at over 5,000 handwritten verifiable address signatures for the city of Los Angeles. I would like to concede a minute of my time to Kyle Petlock, who has just returned back from Iraq, to finish the balance of my comment.
You can use the rest of your own time. We can't cede time, but if you'd like to have a card filled out, we'll make sure that he gets called on. I'm sorry, we just have to be as equal and as even with everybody, but we'll make sure he can. We'll get a card to him and make sure. If you'd like to go next, you can go ahead, but it can't be seated on your time. So if you'd like to finish your 40 seconds, go ahead.
Here's what it boils down to. Bill needs you, Janice, Tom, all of you, to have the courage and the leadership to join with 87 other cities around this country. We are losing our constitutional rights here, and each of you knows that. Every day, people are dying in a needless war. Los Angeles has the opportunity to make history. There are raids going on in Pico Union. There is a police state apparatus that is unfolding here. You have over 5,000 handwritten signatures collected by volunteers asking you to do the right thing. Please do so.
Thank you. Can you step forward, sir? Can you just tell us your name again for the record?
My name is Kyle Petlock. I'm a former U.S. Air Force officer, and I'm here with the LA National Impeachment Center, which I'm also a member of. I am here to tell you that after extensive research since I got out, I found what the Republican majority Senate Intelligence Committee found last year, which was on the front page of the LA Times, which was that it was not bad intelligence proving that George Bush and Dick Cheney lied to start this war, an illegal and unnecessary war of aggression, and 386 of our local heroes from Los Angeles are dead as a direct result of it. Are you guys paying attention?
Yes, we are, sir.
They have squandered over $14 billion from Los Angeles, from schools, hospitals, jobs, from Republicans and Democrats alike. The local heroes who were slaughtered were Republicans as well as Democrats. They are systematically building an oppressive police state, dismantling our constitutional rights. The rights of both Republicans and Democrats. They have made LA more of a target and more vulnerable to attack or natural disaster than it has ever been. Both Republicans and Democrats live in LA, which is more of a target along with the other U.S. major cities. I want any one of you to tell me which part of this sounds like a partisan issue. If our entire system, our constitutional rights, our entire Constitution and our system of democracy goes down, and it is going down.
Thank you, sir.
And
Bruce.
which part is not a local issue?
Bruce McCormick is our next speaker. Thank you. Bruce McCormick is our next speaker. After that is Ed Cowan.
Good morning. My name is Bruce McCormick. I'm a resident of the 4th District, and I'm here to request the members of the Council to help Bill Rosendahl bring forward a resolution to impeach George W. Bush and Richard Cheney, who I believe have done a great deal to harm this country. And by the way, I've done my part to try and eliminate congestion by taking the day pass on Metro. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ed Cowan is our next speaker.
Yes,
and then
thank
Ruth Stedman will be next.
Thank you, City Council. I would just like to remind you, if you've read my letters and material, you know that the President set and let the attack occur. Now, I ask you to either pass the resolution we have before you or to make a strong statement that says that the U.S. Congress needs to do its duty and investigate George Bush for his behavior on 9/11 and his administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruth Stedman is next.
Hello, I'm Ruth Stedman. I'm happy to welcome you back. I missed you, and we missed you. And the people outside who weren't able to get in miss you too. While you were gone, local Congress members were here, and I was honored to be able to be amongst those who talked to them about the issue of impeachment. And it was surprising that some of them didn't even know what their own constituents thought. They came in thinking that the polls were 10% in favor of impeachment when this is Henry Waxman. It was a surprise to him. He didn't know. Howard Berman didn't know what Blackwater was. Is there an information bubble in Washington? Or is there like a force field around them? Are they so cut off from what's going on here? This is a constitutional crisis, and it seems like for them it's a campaign issue, whether we speak or not speak. This is not where I want to spend my time. This is not what I want to be doing. I want to be out looking for a job, but I can't under these present circumstances. I don't know what's going on. My congressperson isn't listening to me. The only person, who do we go to next? Who's on the line of the representatives that we can speak to? Who will listen to us? No one is listening to us. That's why we're here. I know that you have better things to do. You didn't come into office thinking that you would be called to do this by your citizenry, but we don't know where to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stedman. Eugene, I'm sorry, did I call your name, sir?
I don't know. I'm Michael McHugh. I had to go to the restroom.
I've not called it yet, but if you'll just hang on, I'm sure if your card's in here, we'll get to you. Eugene Hernandez is our next speaker, and then Ronald Spreisterback.
Yes.
I find it ironic that today, when we are on the eve of celebrating 60 September, that many egregious acts have been committed against people who have served in the Army and given their lives and been wounded. For instance, when a soldier was captured, his wife was going to be deported. Right now, there's soldiers who are fighting in Iraq and in Afghanistan whose parents are being deported. This is just one of the egregious errors and that are continued by this Bush administration. It is said that in order for evil to succeed, good men must do nothing. And we're hoping that you don't do nothing about the impeachment resolution. We hope you, I ask my own constituent, Representative Mr. Alarcon, to vote for impeachment, because I think that the law and order of this country has been evaporated. The rights have been violated through the signing statements and through the violation of the First, Fourth, and Sixth Amendments by the Constitution. What are our soldiers fighting for if we are afraid of our government? Government should be afraid of its people, not the other way around. So I ask that you look into your conscience and vote for this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ronald Spreiserbeck?
I'm Ronald Spriestersbach. We've just been seeing these hearings from Washington, and we see General Petraeus and Bush pushing the war, a war which is illegal, which was started with a pack of lies without a bit of truth to it at all. And we have been victims of that for all this time. I think it's about time we made Bush victims of what he's done to us and the world. We need to turn the topic toward getting out of this war. We need to turn the topic towards ending this destruction. We need to change the topic. For example, there's so many things. There are lists of things to global warming. We have lost a year of global warming after it became really front center, and now are we going to lose another year? My copy of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists that came out in January says that we have 10 years to do something of substance about global warming. Or by the year 2100, there won't be any human life on this earth. And people don't seem to accept this. The administration doesn't accept this. Dr. Hansen of NASA was told he couldn't talk about global warming by the administration. I have heard just the other day on the television that it was illegal to mention the words global warming. Are we going to lose another year? Are we going to lose another Earth?
Bilal Ali? Bilal Ali? Is he here? Not? Mr. Ali? Mr. Ali? After that we have General Dogon.
I'm just I'm not going to speak that much, but I just want to say I'm appalled at the conduct of one of the council members guarding us and his comments on an organization that's tirelessly and visually at work for this community. This community seeks that organization out when it's having problems with slumlords and so forth. And this organization mounts campaigns based upon the wishes and the needs and the desires of their tenants. So that comment that was made, I'm appalled by it. He should be ashamed of himself. And I'm going to move into his district so I can vote against him when he runs again.
General Dogon is next.
General Dogon, member of LA Can, long-term downtown community resident for 45 years. I went to the Alexandria Hotel to get housing, and they denied me due to a criminal background check that's 18 years old. Like me, so many of my friends and neighbors who lived in the Alexandria years before and had no problems are now being denied due to old background checks that never was an issue under old management. Many of my community residents that were arrested under SCI are all being denied housing at the Alexandria as well. but they are accepted in all the other hotels and having no problems. Like I said, I lived in Alexandria years ago. I am a long-term downtown community resident. I'm a community organizer that's organizing my community, and many old community residents like myself are unfairly being denied not only a rental lease, but I have been denied access to visit my friends and neighbors who lived in Alexandria. One of my friends have been living in a hotel on and off for the past 45 years, and I am being denied access to visit when I have shown nothing but love and respect to the hotel and its residents for the past 30 years. I ask that the council not give this new management nothing until it changes policies and start respecting long and short-term community residents like we respect the hotel. And also, it's not just the Alexandria Hotel that's being that was abandoned. It was the whole downtown that was abandoned. But now that downtown is being gentrified, everybody want to jump on the bandwagon with this so-called helping hand. And Americaland is just another capitalist group that's seeking to make a profit. If the area wasn't being redeveloped, Americaland wouldn't give a damn about Skid Row residents or the Alexandria Hotel. Just like none of you don't give a damn about it. You talk that good talk, but the only thing you care about is your own ass, especially when it comes down to it. And I've been a long-term member of LA CAN, and LA CAN is an organization that's started by the people and ran by the people.
Thank you. Sylvia Welch is our next speaker. And after Sylvia Welch is Gary Jackson.
Mr. President, before she begins...
Yes, Mr. City Attorney. Hold on. Just before you start. Yes, Mr. City Attorney?
There already was public comment on item number 10, and so they should have... This is reserved for general public comment right now.
So just to clarify that... Hey, sir, please, hold on. So if you can talk about a lot of different things, anything but what was on the agenda before, because under California state law, general public comment is for items that were not on the agenda. So please go ahead, ma'am, and you can speak.
I live at Alexander from 1990 to 2007, and they take 10 days and put me out of there without a penny, okay? That man said he went there. When I was living there, I never paid my room. Did he go in 538? No, he didn't. Ask him. Did you go in 538? No. You don't know. You just went there after they put me out and they start working on the place. But before that, you never been there, so you don't know how it look. You get up and talk, but it's so beautiful. And now, yes, since you all put out everybody and they getting the money, that's why. That's all I got to say.
Gary Jackson is our next speaker, and then Kenya Jana.
I'm Gary Jackson. I'd just like to say that the owner doesn't deserve no money at all.
Kenya Janya.
I addressed the committee before, so I don't want to be redundant.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne Michelle Autry. After that, we'll go out to Van Nuys, to John Hendry is out in Van Nuys for our next speaker, please.
Hello. Yeah, I'd like to say, impeach Bush. Stop destroying the earth, and no new war on the poor. No new war on the minority of downtown or any other area. We don't have any other real affordable housing. Even though I don't live at the Alexandria, the Roslyn, I live at the Hayward, and I see what's happening at the Hayward is the same thing that's happened at the Roslyn and at the Frontier. And I like to say in defense of LA CAN has come to my defense on many occasions, not only providing legal information that I need, but also supporting the interests of the people that you are selling out. So I'm defending LA CAN. How dare you? I'd like to also state, just for the record, again, the Bible says that there are people that don't look into their own hearts, but devour the poor from the face of this earth. Okay, look into your heart if you still have a heart. Again, this is a government by and for the people, not just the rich. That's a democracy. 5% allocated is not enough for disabled, seniors, veterans, and people that are economically challenged like myself. I'd also like to say that with the regentrification that is happening, you have to understand that the units that are being converted, even at the median level of affordable housing, is still too high for most of the people that are enjoying that rent or that affordable housing status today. It's being raised to over 60% of the income, which is still unaffordable for most of us. So again, there has to be some equanimity and there has to be some equity in these labels for affordable housing so that we will not be displaced. That's important. And also I'd like to make one other statement about the regentrification and the access to the trains, to the courthouses, to all methods of transportation. I think what's happening here is that the gentry, wants to have that privilege to have all of the access that we've enjoyed for 5 or 10 years. Like I said, let's have some equanimity. We all have a right to this housing. We have lived here 10, 20, 30 years.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it must be protected by LA Can and anyone else who wants to be an advocate.
We'll go out to Van Nuys. Our next speaker is John Hendry in Van Nuys.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Hendry.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I was very concerned about the city's not playing by the rules. I made 2 cultural landmark nominations for the old Van Nuys Public Library just down the street from here. I sent them. I have a mailed receipt, 8/25. The city finished its file on 8/31, and I haven't heard anything about this. I have heard odd rumors that my file simply was inconvenient because I asked the Cultural Heritage Commission to have people come out to Van Nuys and have the Van Nuys Library open for the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council to look at it. Seems a very small thing to ask since the building's going to be for sale. Let the people in Van Nuys think if they can think of a better use for it. I haven't gotten any answers from downtown, and I ask you, Mr. President, if you will intervene on this one, because every time I ask them what happened to my letter, they won't tell me when the next public hearing is. How can I move on this?
Thank you, sir. You had another minute. Would you like to say anything else?
How can I move on this, sir?
I'm sorry for general public comment because it hasn't been agendized. We can't directly answer the questions because individuals who came here, but we'll see if we can get you some assistance out there. And if you'd like to call the Chief Legislative Analyst's office, we'll make sure we can get you that information. And if you have any difficulty with that, you can call my office. Okay? Thank you. Jennifer Epps is our next speaker, and then Becky Dennison will follow.
I'd like to address the question, is the impeachment of the U.S. President and Vice President a local issue? And I am pleased to see my councilman, Tom LaBonge, here, and I hope he'll be listening to my comments today. Many L.A. residents are in the armed forces, as you know. Many L.A. families have seen loved ones go to Iraq. So the manipulation of intelligence that justified the invasion of Iraq is a local issue. Health services in LA have been cut back because of the reallocation of funds, so the endless war in Iraq is a local issue. LA is at risk for various natural disasters, so the criminal neglect that we saw in Hurricane Katrina and the misuse of the National Guard for fighting in Iraq is a local issue. LA is a likely terrorist target and depends on accurate intelligence gathering to protect the city. So the illegal outing of the CIA agent Valerie Plame and the pardon of Scooter Libby, which compromised intelligence gathering and leaves the perpetrators unpunished, is a local issue. The administration has broken the law and spied on American citizens without warrant. This could include anyone in Los Angeles. They also promote torture and the indefinite detention without trial of anyone they choose, which could include American citizens and even Los Angelinos. That's a local issue. The President's hundreds of signing statements exempting him from the laws of this land make a mockery of the democratic system, which the LA City Council is a part of. If the President is above the law, how will the City of LA expect people to believe in the justice system and electoral system? When people completely lose faith in the system, the results can be extreme. That's a local issue. The mayor alluded to it today when he talked about what happened in LA in 1992. Nobody wants to see that extent of loss of faith in the system again. The people here to talk to you about impeachment today believe in the system. That's why we're here. We believe local representatives are responsible to the people, and we believe that for you to pass on our official complaints matters greatly. There isn't anything more local than defending democracy.
Becky Dennison is our next speaker. And after Ms. Dennison will be Leonard Woods.
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Dennison. I wanted to raise an issue for those of you who are interested in avoiding situations like the Alexandria with 100 evictions and hundreds of improper relocations in your districts. There's a problem with our rent stabilization ordinance, and that is that for-profit developers who partner with nonprofit developers are therefore exempt from the rent stabilization ordinance. In this project at the Alexandria, the nonprofit owns 1% of the project, and yet they were given an exemption from the rent control ordinance with 30 open complaints. That would have prevented all of the improper relocations. It would have provided for a complaint system and investigation system for which this city has the infrastructure to do. And I urge you to close these kind of loopholes. A nonprofit with 1% interest is not the kind of exemption from rent control that we need. That nonprofit is located in Sacramento. It has 2 employees. It clearly is not running this building, and that is not the types of buildings that we should be exempting from our only tenant protections that exist in this city. And so I urge you to take that on, because what you just approved will happen again and again and again unless we close loopholes.
Thank you. Leonard Woods is our next speaker. Is Leonard Woods still here?
I'm still right here.
Okay. Do you still have the microphone over there? My apologies. We'll get it for you again.
I see the gentleman is not there.
We're going to get it for you.
Comment about me.
It's coming your way, sir. And then after that, Louis Lafferty again.
Yes, Mr. President, you asked me a while ago to speak directly to the council, but I think one deserves another. I take very offensive with what that gentleman right there said about me. I don't work for nobody, and nobody works for me. You work for Maryland.
Sir, if you'll address us in
Okay,
general.
but sir, this is what I like to say. I'm having problems the way this whole system is being ran now. Maryland needs somebody to oversee what they're doing. They're doing unfair.
Hold on 1 second, Mr. Woods. Yes, Mr.
Could I make it clear to the audience I am not Tony Cardenas? Quit directing your comments at me.
Sir.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, continue.
You ain't got no red towel. You ain't got no red towel. I'm talking about the man got the red towel.
Sir, if you'll continue.
Okay, here's the problem here. I didn't have no problems down here at all until Maryland came down, and they coming down here thinking they're changing everything, but what they're doing is moving everybody out. Eventually they're going to have everybody out that building, and they're paying people to come down here to speak on their behalf. They're paying them $35 and a dinner for them to come down here to tell y'all what they want to tell you. So y'all need to look up to that. These peoples here is misusing peoples, and they're using y'all as scapegoat, because here's one person here is already in their back pocket. Donation. Weezer. And I assume Miss Perry will be me next, and possibly him. Y'all need to stop this.
Thank you. Lois Lafferty is our next speaker. Lois Lafferty.
Again, before he begins, Mr. President, if the speakers can be reminded to address the whole council in their comments.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, my name is Louis Rafty. I'm an attorney with the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles. I practice mostly downtown in the Skid Row area and work on legal areas that affect homeless persons and low-income persons, especially housing. I'd like to apologize for running over before, and I had a whole bunch of stuff prepared to talk about the Alexandria. What I'd like to talk about now is disability discrimination and the affirmative duty that housing providers have when they take over a building where there is a large percentage of population that has disabilities. Many low-income persons also are disabled. Many have mental disabilities. What I would urge the City Council to do is that in the future, whenever selecting a nonprofit provider or any housing provider or developer to develop affordable housing, to require that provider to provide on-site services to ensure that those members of our community who are disabled and are the most vulnerable are able to maintain their housing. I think this is what did not happen at the Alexandria, and unfortunately many people who are mentally disabled are now not housed. The cost to the community of those individuals who are now unhoused and probably destabilized because of their loss of housing is exponentially greater than whatever it would have cost to provide on-site services to ensure that they were able to keep their housing. The other thing I'd like to address is the role that advocates can play in assisting the City Council to observe what's happening, especially in areas where their expertise might not be quite so high, specifically the Skid Row downtown areas, dealing with persons who are low income, dealing with public benefits and disabled issues. We work with folks and we work in these areas every day. We have very good insight into what's going on. People who come into the area may not have that particular insight, and as you know, persons often portray things in opposite to the way they are. So again, I would urge the City Council to listen to advocates, as we may have a perspective that may enable them to make better decisions in the future. Thank you.
We've now had a half hour total public hearing. By law, we have to do 10 minutes. Is there a motion to extend? If not, I will at the very least read these names into the record to make sure the other folks that were here read into the record. The other people that were here then not seeing a motion are Al Sabo, Javier Rodriguez, Michael McHugh, William Caldwell, Hilda Quintana, Brad Kahn, Shane Q. He, John Maldonado, Cheryl Dorsey, Ann Schachman, Martha Good, Joe Lane, and Pete White. And that will close then our general public comment. Thank you all for your patience and what was a very busy morning as well, and your understanding with that. Next item, please, Mr. Clerk.
Item 12 was called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn? Yeah. Mr. Wesson?
I'd like to ask a question of the city attorney before Janice does her thing. And is that, do I have permission to do that?
Sure, of course.
Mr. City Attorney, just so I make sure I understand, I have two quick questions for you. If you could define the meaning of closed session to me, and also what is the purpose? Why do we have closed session?
Yes, Mr. Wesson.
And I'm listening very intently.
Okay, thank you. In this case, Council would be recessing into closed session so that the City Attorney's Office could provide a frank assessment and candid advice to its client in pending litigation, in this case involving Alaska Airlines versus Los Angeles Airport. Again, that is to provide candid advice so that there would be a free-flowing discussion during closed session.
Is that information public?
No. By definition, it's not.
Mr. Zine,
did you want?
I have a follow-up question. If that's the case, there was a closed session last week in the City Council on the pending case, and there were statements in that article stating that 4 unidentified individuals made statements about the closed session. What about that? If it's either closed session or it's not closed session, but how can you have a closed session when comments are made in the newspaper with unidentified sources? How does that work, Mr. City Attorney?
Again, we're speaking generally about closed sessions and
well, you're either going to talk about it or not.
And not about something that happened 2 days ago.
Well, we're talking closed session, and Mr. Wesson had a very legitimate question, and I'm following up with that question on an article I read in the newspaper. I wasn't here for that closed session, but I read an article in that closed session, and it talked about 4 people in City Council that made comments. So how does that all equate to what Mr. Wesson's saying?
In a closed session, there should be no disclosure of what occurred during closed session. The City Attorney's Office obviously did not disclose anything, and we can't control what every other member of the closed session says to the press.
So are there any consequences for information leaked to the press in a closed session, other than liability to the city on a case?
Well, we're actually going far afield of what is before us today.
We're going to be bringing that up on Tuesday on that specific item, as we've discussed.
I didn't want to cite that specific item, but I'm curious, as Mr. Wesson brought up the legitimate
It's a good general point to make, and colleagues, I would reiterate that as well, that in all closed session items, we'll be discussing this more on Tuesday, your discretion is what the taxpayers and the constituents we represent depend on here. So we will be underscoring that, and thank you, Mr. Zahn, for bringing that up as well. Ms. Hahn, on this item?
Yeah, colleagues, I called the special because I just thought it was of interest to us in terms of a recent ruling that will impact our airport fees and increases, and I thought we would all like to kind of hear from Kelly Martin on how this impacts us, where we are in the appeal, what the bottom line is for us. My problem is, I'm ready to, I need to leave. I have a very urgent meeting that I'm not going to be able to stay for. So if this is a note and file, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, what's the will of the council here? I'm fine with moving this.
Okay.
Yeah, or continuing
if Ms. Hahn moves
it.
we can.
Okay, I'm in favor of just moving this, or
And
if
we can you
all need a
ask
better.
individual council members if they'd like to be briefed on it. We can arrange that. Okay.
I'm also available to stay and talk
Yeah.
to individuals if they prefer.
Thank you.
I mean,
We
this,
appreciate that.
This
Appreciate
could
your patience.
impact our bottom line at the airport. I think you might be interested in where we are with the appeal, but I think we don't do it justice right now by having it right now. So why don't we move this forward, Councilmember Rosendahl? I don't know how you feel about it, or
Can we
continue
let
it.
the record reflect that Ms. Martin adopted the dog that was earlier up for adoption?
Yeah.
We want to make sure
Yeah.
folks know that. But if not, we'll go ahead and move. Mr. Rosendahl wanted to be heard on it?
I will obviously support the chair of our committee in wanting to move forward with it, but there needs to be a discussion about ramifications of what this all means. My bottom line is, and many of you know this around the horseshoe, that one of the reasons LAX is so considered important by airlines is the takeoff and landing fees are very inexpensive compared to New York, Chicago, and other places. We also know that since 1983, very little has been done to invest in the airport. The good news is we have 5 green lighted projects moving forward, which will have a very positive impact, not only on the beauty of the new day we're in, the People Mover, the Bradley Terminal, the Consolidated Rental, the Green Line, and the Midfield Terminal. Those 5 projects will cost $7 to $10 billion over the next 10 years. And that truly is taking that airport to the new day. What that then, in fact, does do is also affect the formula for takeoffs and landings, which will make LAX more competitive with Ontario, and the notion of regionalism becomes a reality with airlines. So just as a backdrop, as we note and file this, we are moving in the right direction to renovate LAX to the new day and to make it more competitive so that Ontario becomes a nonstop, direct, frequent, and discounted location for airlines, not just LAX. We all know around this horseshoe, 18 million of us in Southern California don't all want to go to LAX. I've talked with Anaheim that wants to do an intermodal connection to Ontario. There are other places that want to work with Ontario. And as chair of the Regional Airport Authority, we had a meeting just the other day where my colleagues on the board are going to hold these scoping meetings where we're going to see how much support we can get for regionalism going forward. So what we're doing is a very good thing, and I obviously want us all to note and file it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll on noting and filing, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. Martin, folks, while she's still here and under the camera, she's the one who took that rescue dog this morning that Weston put
announced
up
that.
there. We're
Yep.
so happy.
Thank you. And that takes us to item 14. We have a public comment card on that one. Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on item 14.
Yes, I would like to comment on item number 14. I'd also like to comment on the previous item that was listed on
we can't.
regular agenda and not as a closed session item.
It was a public hearing had already been held. It's in that section.
I understand that. And the item number 12 was listed on the agenda as public hearings already been held, but not a closed session item.
Sir, and
then it was changed.
We
It
didn't
was
go into closed
changed
session.
by the city council.
Sir, we didn't go into closed session. If you'll please right now address item 14. That's what your time is for.
I'd like to address item 14. I'd like to know this telecommunications line to the Catholic Charities. Is the Catholic Charities a nonprofit? And also I'd like to know on the private telecommunications line, is it similar to the telecommunications line that Verizon is installing with its FiOS capabilities, whereas it's listed as a telecommunications line so that it gets access to public right of way, but in essentially it also carries high-speed internet and cable television capabilities, which, if listed in the original request, cable television would not be entitled to usage of public right of way. So I'd like to know if those answers could be those questions could be answered, or if the city attorney is, or if it's been looked into. I'm sure it has been, and it's just listed that way. And again, I'd like to know under what reasoning a item that has been held for conversation listed on the agenda as not a private.
I'm sorry, under state law we can't discuss that.
State law, but what state law allows you to turn it into a
Sir, we did not go into closed session. So thank you very much on item number 14. That closes our public comment on that. Mr. City Attorney, do you want to clarify anything?
The item was listed in the open session agenda, and there was a parenthetical comment that council may recess into closed session.
And that was listed on the agenda.
Correct.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused October 2nd and 3rd for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Cardenas is excused.
Councilmember Rosendahl requests to be excused Wednesday, October 17th for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Rosendahl is excused.
And Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused October 2nd and 3rd for city business. A motion is required for the second.
I will move that, and Ms. Perry seconds, and that excuse is granted.
That clears the desk, Mr. President.
Okay. Any business announcements, colleagues? Any meetings? If not, Mr. Reyes?
I just wanted to invite everyone this Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon for the Hilda Bays Coastal Cleanup Day. It's happening throughout the city. In District 1, we're having a gathering at the parking lot of, we'll put it this way, it's the Royal Seco Confluence, Alley River, and we can park. We'll be available at the Home Depot at 497 North San Fernando Road for parking. But come on down and work with Urban Semillas and Anahuac Youth Soccer Association to continue support for the Alley River and all the waters.
And we'll be gathering at 9 a.m. at Echo Park Lake for the same event. Mr. Cardenas?
Thank you very much. I have two announcements. Two activities going on in my district. First one is Saturday, tomorrow, and it's the grand opening of the Animal Sanctuary. It's not a shelter, it's a sanctuary, and when you go see it, you're going to see that it really is a sanctuary. And that's going to take place at 14409 Van Noen Street in Van Nuys, and it starts at 11 a.m., and we're going to have, I think we might even have some celebrities there and some also good news going on. But more importantly, we're going to have free spay and neutering for qualified residents. So I'm glad that dogs and cats can't understand what I'm saying, but take your dog and cat, or if you need it spayed or neutered, and we're going to have those that available to residents as well. Again, tomorrow, Saturday, September 15th, from 11 a.m. on, it's the opening of the new shelter in Van Nuys at 14409 Van Noen Street. In addition to that, on Sunday, I'm very proud to say that Los Angeles is hosting the biggest deaf festival in the state of California, and one of the few successful events. It's actually free of charge. And in past years, several of my colleagues, council colleagues, have gone to this event, as well as the mayor. Thank you so much for your support. Again, it's a deaf festival taking place on Sunday from noon to 5 p.m. We're going to have dozens and dozens of free booths of information for families and individuals who want to know more about the deaf and hard of hearing community and the services available via hospitals, the county, the city, etc. So again, this is this Sunday, which is the 16th of September, from 12 noon to 5 p.m. at Woodley Park. And for simplicity's sake, it's at the corner of Victory and Woodley in the community of Van Nuys. It's a huge park, but as soon as you get to that corner, you'll see all the signs of where to park. And again, it's the largest deaf festival in the state of California, and it also is free to all comers. So thank you very much for that opportunity. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. And colleagues, appreciate those announcements. For the retreat, we're also going to have, not on Mondays, but on Friday when we have our announcements, that's when we're able, if you bring your events for the coming week, we're going to do kind of PSA-style announcements. You know, this Friday is blank and they can run them, and then we'll use this time for kind of business announcements of council meetings and stuff, but continue in the meantime to use this time. Mr. Rosendahl?
Adjourning motions.
Anybody else with announcements? If not, if I can please ask everybody to rise for adjourning motions. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, President Garcetti. It's with great sadness I announce the passing of Mario Alberto Muniz, who passed away on August 28th, and he was born on June 8th, 1952. He fought cancer for 10 years and succumbed to cancer on August 28th. He was a longtime resident of the San Fernando Valley, and he attended Cal State University Northridge, where he received his bachelor's degree in Chicano Studies and his secondary level teaching credentials in social science. In addition to that, he served us in the state of California at the California Department of Education and also in various other departments. He also led the Pioneer High School to the CIF championship in 3 consecutive years when he was a coach, and he was selected Coach of the Year in 1972. It's with great sadness that we announce his passing, and after 25 years of service, Mario left the California Department of Education as an administrator with the Child Development Division, and he served the entire state of California, but was very well known for his service to the San Fernando Valley, and he survived by his wife Blanca, his sons Mario Jr. and Gustavo, his daughters Diana and Bianca, and his mother Lorenza, his sisters Rosemary and Lori, and his brothers Frank and Ramon.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Denny Snyder, who is a very strong community activist, just lost his father, whom we all knew, Leonard L. Snyder. After a long battle to overcome major heart disease and congestive heart failure, Leonard Snyder died early yesterday morning. He was a hero and a role model to many. Raised in the slums of Chicago, he worked hard and persevered, ultimately becoming an engineer executive at TRW before retiring. He was a leader in aerospace industry who participated in many major review commissions, including being the U.S. representative to the International Measurement Standards, but most important was his zest for life and desire to make life better for those around him. He will be missed.
Thank you, Mr.
My second one, Mr. President, is Stuart J. Sperber. Norm Cullen, one of my chief deputies, is related to him and went to the funeral the other day. And Stuart Sperber passed away Friday, September 7th. He was diagnosed with throat cancer nearly 2 years ago and battled the disease with great courage and determination, living every day to the fullest. Stuart was a pioneer of innovation who profoundly influenced the landscape and nursery industry. Known as the industry's advocate and leader, Stuart built Valley Crest Tree Company into the premier tree nursery and specimen tree moving business. A lifelong green industry professional, Stuart also worked to enhance the industry's role in uniting public and private sectors on legislation related to the green industry across California. Stuart was past president of the California Landscape Contractors Association and the University Education Trust of California State Polytech University in Pomona. He belonged to the National Council of Tree and Landscape Appraisers and Western Chapter of International Society of Arboriculture and the American Nursery and Landscape Association, the Nursery Growers Association, and the California Association of Nurseries and Gardens. He's survived by his loving wife of 44 years, Leslie, his children Rochelle and Tad, Adam, Julie, and Rob, and his 7 grandchildren. A memorial service was held on Monday, September 10th at Mount Sinai. May he rest in peace. I have one more, Mr. President. Harry Ray Bonet. I would like to ask us to adjourn in memory of Harry. He is known to his friends and families as Ray. Mr. Bonet died at home September 7th at the age of 83. He's survived by his daughters Adelaide and Vicky, his grandchildren Matthew and Leslie, by his cousins Marjorie, Lee, and Linda, and by lifetime of friends. Sober for more than 40 years, Ray was well-known and active member of Alcoholics Anonymous on the West Side. Ray befriended and inspired literally thousands of men and women through the years. Through his example and from his experience, he helped many people stay sober. His keen intelligence, his gregarious nature, and his warm sense of humor will long be remembered. His service will be held 3 p.m. Saturday at Hollywood Congressional Church. And I might add that the Alcoholics Anonymous community considered him a huge hero and urged me to adjourn in his memory. May he rest in peace.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cardenas?
Yeah, I'd just like to add my name to Mr. Sperber, his adjournment. Tremendous man, grew up in the San Fernando Valley, very humble person. I got to know him and am very grateful for all that he's done for not only the San Fernando Valley, but all of California, as he was a leader in many respects.
Mr. Alacon?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. This is the founder of Valley Crest?
Yes. I'm assuming yes.
And I'm taken aback because we're going to be opening a park that he built in one day in Sylmar. And I just told my staff yesterday to name it in the family name, and I didn't realize he had passed. So I'm a little shocked. But basically, Valley Crest, which emerged out of the Sun Valley area in the San Fernando Valley and has become a national company with tens of thousands of employees, and just recently, under Alex Padilla's leadership, they worked with a local condominium association which dedicated some land under a DWP lines, and built. He had his employees from all over the nation come to build Telfair, what is now known as Telfair Park, in one day just a few months ago. And so we were going to just in the next, I think it's coming up this weekend, announce the transfer of that property to the city of Los Angeles for maintenance. So he did that in the name, I believe, of his daughter who passed away, and so we hope to be announcing an appropriate recognition at the park, and hopefully maybe it'll be Sperber Park, but he was an incredible man, a very nice, genteel type person who cared a lot about the San Fernando Valley where he grew up.
And I will tell that to Mr. Cullen, my general counsel who's related to him, that maybe you and he could get together and work on that. It would be a great honor to do that. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Are there any other adjourning motions? Not, Mr. Clerk, if you please call the roll. And we'll next be in session on September 18th. That's Tuesday of next week here in Council Chambers. I want to thank all the members of the public and the members of the Council and staff for today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. This meeting of the Los Angeles City